Chapter 1078. The weapon that Yunchujio materialized. The three silly munchkins were stunned as they listened to Yunchujio's explanation. However, one thing was for sure, not only did they not annoy Yunchujio by stealing food, but they had given her an idea. Yunchujio did not have the time to bother with the three silly munchkins. She quickly activated the spiritual power in her body according to her previous train of thought. Yunchujio was a little stunned when she saw the spiritual power that she had materialized. Little Black Bird was so shocked that its possessed eyes were wide open. Little Black Rat's mouth was wide open. It really could not believe its eyes. The flaming three-tailed Fox King immediately fell to the ground. Little Black Bird stuttered, Master, what you materialized is it a needle?" Yunchujio coughed dryly. "It's just the beginning. It's inevitably a little weak. Don't worry, Master, I will materialize a rolling pin soon." She had completely forgotten how much she despised the rolling pin back then. Well, compared to this needle that was as thin as a cow's hair, the rolling pin was like a divine weapon. Little Black Bird and the other two looked at each other. For some reason, they had a strong premonition that their black-hearted master would only be able to materialize a needle for the time being. Sure enough, Yunchujio tried more than 10 times, but what she materialized was still a needle as thin as a cow's hair. Yunchujio blinked her eyes. No matter what, she had to calm down Instructor Jisha first, lest he really went to look for Mo Hanshuan. Yunchujio took out her identity jade token. "Instructor Jisha, I can already materialize my spiritual power." In less than an hour, Instructor Jisha rushed to Yunchujio's dormitory. "Yunchujio, you didn't lie to me, right? Can you really materialize your spiritual power? How is that possible? Quickly demonstrate it to me." Jisha panted as he said. Yunchujio laughed dryly. "Jisha, don't be anxious. Sit down and have a cup of tea first." Jisha frowned. "Yunchujio, are you lying to me?" Yunchujio saw that Instructor Jisha was getting annoyed, so she could only say, "All right, since you're in such a hurry, then I'll show you my spiritual power materialization technique. It's just that the things I materialize are a little special, so you have to be mentally prepared. Although my spiritual power isn't high, I still have some knowledge. The primary materialization technique materializes all kinds of weapons. What else can be special? Just show me." Instructor Jisha felt that Yunchujio had deliberately stalled him, so his frown deepened. Yunchujio bared her little white teeth. "If that's the case, please take a good look at it." After a moment, Instructor Jisha frowned. "Yunchujio, where is the thing that you materialized? Don't dawdle." Yunchujio laughed dryly and pointed forward. "Instructor Jisha, that is the thing that I materialized." Instructor Jisha looked in the direction Yunchujio pointed and saw a tiny purple needle as thin as a cow's hair floating in front of him. Instructor Jisha was dumbfounded. What was that? Materializing a needle. We're not a tailor shop. What's the use of materializing a needle? He had heard of people who were ridiculed for materializing a dagger in the past. Yunchujio would become the laughing stock of the entire Tianyuan continent if she materialized a needle. It would be better to fail than to succeed. When Yunchujio saw the look of confusion and disappointment on Instructor Jisha's face, she giggled and said, "Instructor Jisha, didn't I just succeed? Therefore the thing that I turned it into is inevitably a little weak. If I practice a few more times, I will definitely turn the needle into a stick." Chapter 1079. The small purple needle. Jisha smiled bitterly and said, "I'm afraid you don't know, right? The object created by the beginner-level spiritual power materialization technique will not change its shape. It's just that its shape will further solidify and resemble the real thing. Only when the cultivator's spiritual power materialization technique reaches the intermediate level will it transform into another object." Yunchujio was stunned for a while, then she widened her eyes and asked, "Instructor Jisha, do you mean that before I learn the intermediate level materialization technique, I can only materialize a needle?" Although Instructor Jisha did not want to hurt Yunchujio, he still smiled bitterly and nodded. "That's right. Before you learn the intermediate physical transformation technique, you can only materialize a needle. Moreover, the intermediate physical transformation technique can only be learned at the level of a spiritual saint." Yunchujio wanted to cry, but she had no tears. Her excitement just now instantly turned into frustration. But initially she felt that it was embarrassing enough to use a rolling pin when she faced the enemy. She did not expect that in the future, when the other party used spiritual power to materialize swords and sabers, She could only use a needle to face the enemy. That scene sounded too pitiful. When Instructor Jisha saw Yoon Chujia's sad expression, he could only comfort her. You don't have to be too sad. When you use the intermediate materialization technique, you can materialize something else. As for the competition tomorrow afternoon, I will go and look for Mo Honshuan. Yoon Chujio shook her head. Instructor Jisha, you don't have to look for Mo Honshuan. I have a way to make In Sulian give up on the competition. Please believe me. Jisha saw Yoon Chujia's serious expression and could only say, if that's the case, then I'll leave it to you first. If you can't solve it, come and look for me. Yoon Chujio nodded. Don't worry, I won't force myself. Only then did Instructor Jisha leave Yoon Chujia's courtyard. After leaving the courtyard, he shook his head. He did not know what method she had to make In Sulian give up on the competition. This little girl had many ideas. Perhaps she really had a way. However, she had only materialized a needle. This little girl would inevitably be ridiculed in the future. After all, how powerful could a needle be? It was the physical transformation technique with the weakest attack power. It was better to not reveal it. Yoon Chujio sent Instructor Jisha away and practiced the physical transformation technique over and over again. Every time she used it, she only produced a thin purple needle. Although it was becoming more and more solid, no matter what, it was still just a needle. Yoon Chujio thought to herself in a self-deprecating manner, don't tell me that when we face enemies in the future I will say to them, hey, do you need to mend your clothes? Let me help you mend them. Or hey, shut your stinky mouth. Otherwise I will sew your mouth shut. The more Yoon Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that her future was bleak. It was better to get nothing than that embarrassing thing. Little black bird rolled its bean-like eyes. Master, why don't you try the power of this needle? What if this needle cannot be judged by its appearance? Yoon Chujio thought about it and agreed. What if this needle was small and strong? Hence, she took out a big rock from her storage ring and shot the materialized purple needle at a big rock. Yoon Chujio and 3 silly munchkins stared at the purple needle without blinking. They saw the purple needle quickly rush towards the big rock and hit it. And that was it. The small purple needle was like mud sinking into the sea. Other than gently hitting the big rock, it did not damage it at all. Yoon Chujio suddenly had an image in her mind. When In Sulian uses her materialized sword to attack the testing spirit stone, it will probably display an attack power of several hundred. If she attacked the testing spirit stone, it will probably display a fucking 0. Chapter 1080. Little Black Bird once again performed a meritorious deed. Forget it. Let's have dinner first. If it doesn't work out, I'll activate the concealment talisman and beat In Sulian up at her doorstep early tomorrow morning. We'll talk about it after fooling her for a few more days. Yoon Chujio waved her hands and said to the 3 silly munchkins. The 3 silly munchkins were already hungry. They had not eaten after they shared that roasted snow rabbit earlier, so they quickly fawned over Yoon Chujio and surrounded her. Yoon Chujio had always been a big-hearted person. She walked to the stone table, took out a lot of food from her storage ring, and began to feast with the 3 silly munchkins. Just as the 3 of them ate happily, they heard a loud bang. Yoon Chujio was shocked. What happened? Could it be that the earth dragon had turned up? Master stone. The stone. Little Black Bird pointed behind Yoon Chujio with a short wing and said in shock. Yoon Chujio turned around and was stunned. She saw that the big stone used to test the small purple needle had turned into powder. The ground was covered with gray powder and some of it even splashed onto the food on the stone table. A moment later, Yoon Chujio threw her head back and laughed. Ha! It must be the power of the small purple needle. I told you, how could a genius like me materialize an ordinary needle? My lightning needle had the same characteristics as the master. They are both very low-key. Little Black Bird twitched its mouth. Low-key? It was another case of not judging a book by its cover. They are both actually wolves in sheep's clothing. It did not expect that the needle that materialized was the same as the master. It was also equally secretly terrifying. To test the power of the small purple needle, Yoon Chujio took out another large rock. After waiting for 15 minutes, the rock turned into powder once again. Just as Yoon Chujio was feeling happy, Little Black Bird said from the side, Master, although the power of this small purple needle is extraordinary, you have overlooked a problem. When fighting against the enemy or when fighting against that little bitch In Sulian, they can't possibly wait for 15 minutes. By the time the small purple needle detonates, it will be too late. You have to let the purple needle explode as soon as possible. It would be even better if you can directly control the detonation. Yun Chujio looked at Little Blackbird in surprise. I didn't expect your brain to be so good. It is almost as good as me. What you said makes sense. That is indeed a problem. I have to think of a way to speed up the explosion. Otherwise, my thunderbolt needle will be of little use. After receiving Yun Chujio's praise, the little blackbird immediately felt a little smug. It responded smugly, Master, it's not that I'm boasting. Although I can't compare to you, my IQ is superior to that of all beasts. The other beasts are not as smart as me. At that time Yun Chujio did not pay attention to it. She was deep in thought about how to control the time when the purple needle detonated. Little Blackbird could only look at the little black rat and flaming three-tailed fox king in embarrassment. Fortunately, the two of them still gave face to Little Blackbird. They took the opportunity to compliment Little Blackbird. Only then did Little Blackbird take out its secret stash of food and share it with those two. Yun Chujio tried many methods but failed. Whether it was increasing the intensity of her spiritual power or increasing the speed of her attack, she could not control the time when the purple needle detonated. The purple needle would still only explode after 15 minutes. Yun Chujio shouted in exasperation, "Damn it, it won't work no matter what. Will it explode when I shout explode?" Bang! There was a loud explosion in front of them and the big rock turned into powder. Chapter 1081. Yun Chujio is going to lose for sure. Yun Chujio's mouth stayed wide open as she stared blankly at the grayish-white powder on the ground. Then she looked at the three silly munchkins who were also in a daze. She pointed at herself and said, "Did it explode just because I said so?" The three silly munchkins nodded their heads in a daze. "Oh my god, isn't this too mysterious? How is this possible? Didn't they say that items created by beginner-level materialization did not have intelligence? Why did the black-hearted master say that the purple needle would explode on command? Could it be that the purple needle could understand human language?" To verify, Yun Chujio took out another stone. After the purple needle shot into the stone, she said, "Explode." However, there was nothing unusual about the stone. It did not explode like last time. Could it be a coincidence just now? Yun Chujio experimented a few more times and finally found the mystery. It turned out that the small purple needle did not explode because Yun Chujio said explode. Instead, it exploded when Yun Chujio said explode for the first time. She subconsciously used her spiritual sense to order the small purple needle to explode. That was why the small purple needle detonated. Yun Chujio was addicted to her newfound ability. She kept using the small purple needle and then directed it to explode. It was already late at night, so when the small purple needles exploded, it looked as beautiful as fireworks. Little Blackbird secretly thought to itself, "Damn, this black-hearted master of theirs is a real freak. To think that she could materialize such a perverse thing with a beginner-level materialization technique. If he had learned a high-level materialization technique, even he might not even be able to materialize such a monstrous creation." It was not until the second half of the night that Yun Chujio reluctantly washed up and went to bed. Before she went to bed, the corner of her mouth revealed a wicked smile. "Insulian, tomorrow will be the most unforgettable day in your life. How dare you provoke me? I will torture you to death." The next morning happened to be the next day's spiritual power class. Instructor Ji Sha did not receive the news that Insulian had cancelled the competition. He looked at Yun Chujio in confusion and saw that the little girl looked calm and composed as if she was full of confidence. Could it be that she had already settled it and the news had yet to reach him? After Instructor Ji Sha finished the spiritual power class with a perturbed mood, he quickly called Yun Chujio over. "Yun Chujio, you have already asked Insulian to give up the competition?" Yun Chujio shook her head. "No, our competition will be held as usual." "Nonsense. Do you really want to use a needle to compete against her sword? I'll go find Imo Hanshuan now." Ji Sha's face darkened. He had thought that Yun Chujio was smart, but he did not expect her to be so ridiculous. "Ji Sha, don't worry. I'll defeat Insulian in the competition. I promise." Instructor Ji Sha saw that Yun Chujio was serious. Although he still did not quite believe it when he thought of the few things that Yun Chujio had done previously, he inexplicably felt that she told the truth. Just as Instructor Ji Sha visibly hesitated, Yun Chujio said again, "Instructor Ji Sha, I will not joke about my future. In 4 hours, you will see the power of Little Jiu's thunderbolt needle." Seeing that Yoon Chujio had said so much, Instructor Ji Sha could only let her be. When it was still an hour away from midnight, the Tianyuan Academy's competition stage was surrounded by students, and there were even quite a number of instructors present. Although the competition between the two first-year students was not interesting, one of them was Yoon Chujio, which immediately attracted everyone's interest. That was because Yoon Chujio was really audacious. Not only did she gang up on the seniors, but she also ran to the entrance of the disciplinary department to attempt to hang herself. It was unknown if she would really kneel and admit her mistake if she lost to Een Sulian this time, or what kind of evil scheme she would take. Alright, in the hearts of these people, Yoon Chujio was definitely going to lose. Chapter 1082. Almost overslept. Een Sulian had arrived early and looked very confident. Yoon Chujio, that trash, actually dared to compete with me in materialization of spiritual power. It was like hitting a rock with an egg. After today, this Yoon Chujio would become the laughing stock of the Tianyuan Academy. Let's see if she still has the face to continue staying here. Een Xinlian gently warned that Yoon Chujio has a lot of schemes. You have to be more careful or you'll fall into her trap. Don't worry, sister. Materialization of spiritual power isn't something that the two of us can lose to others in. Even if she has any tricks up her sleeves, she won't be able to do anything. I will definitely make that bitch kneel and admit her mistake today, Een Sulian said indifferently. Although Een Xinlian was a little worried, she thought that what her sister said made sense. After all, they were using spirit stones to test their attack power. No matter how cunning Yoon Chujio was, she would not be able to do anything. 15 minutes before the start of the competition, Een Sulian stepped onto the competition stage. There was an instructor in charge of the competition stage. In every competition, both sides had to pay a fee of 500 upper-grade spirit stones. After Een Sulian paid the fee, she quietly waited for Yoon Chujio's arrival. It was almost the end of the competition and Yoon Chujio had yet to show her face. The crowd below murmured, I didn't expect that Yoon Chujio, who is usually bold and reckless, to be so timid this time. That's understandable. I heard that the Huang class hasn't learned the materialization of spiritual power yet. Whether she comes or not, she will lose. She shouldn't have agreed to Een Sulian's competition. She was just asking for humiliation. Who said so? There are rules in this competition stage. If she is not here by that time, the instructor in charge will announce that Een Sulian won the competition. She will still lose. Een Sulian on the stage said proudly, Humph. That trash Yoon Chujio has chickened out. Trash is indeed trash. A piece of trash from the Huang class actually wants to compete with a top student from the Tian class. She overestimated herself. Een Xinlian frowned. This sister of hers had started to speak without restraint again. If you say things like that, wouldn't you offend the entire Huang class? Even the students from the D class and the Xian class would feel uncomfortable. Indeed, after hearing Een Xinlian's words, all the students present, except for the students from the Tian class, felt a little uncomfortable. That Een Sulian was too arrogant. Originally, they were here to watch the show. It did not matter who won or lost. However, the scales in their hearts now leaned towards Yoon Chujio. They hoped that Yoon Chujio could ruthlessly defeat Een Sulian. However, Yoon Chujio did not even dare to accept the challenge. How could she win? Een Sulian stood proudly on the competition stage with her head held high. Yoon Chujio definitely did not dare to come, she said even more arrogantly. Previously, that trash Yoon Chujio even said that Instructor Zhou misled people's children. I think that their Huang class aptitude is too poor. Even if the dean personally taught them, they would still be trash. The Huang class students were about to explode from anger from the constant taunting by Een Sulian. However, when they still did not see Yoon Chujio come over, they started to feel that the class monitor was probably cowardly at the last minute. After all, none of them had learned how to materialize spiritual power yet, so attending the competition was also asking for humiliation. Right at that moment, a pretty little girl ran over from not far away. As she ran, she shouted, "Excuse me, Emma, I overslept during my afternoon nap. I almost forgot that there was still a competition." Everyone turned around and saw that the person who ran over was Yoon Chujio. The corners of everyone's eyes could not help but twitch. Your heart is really big. You actually have the mood to take an afternoon nap during such an important occasion. Chapter 1083. There was no one else who was so shameless. The crowd took the initiative to clear a path for Yoon Chujio. She seemed like she was not in a hurry and slowly walked towards the competition stage. As she walked, she waved at the crowd and said, "Thank you for your support. You've come to support me so early. I'm really grateful." The corners of everyone's eyes twitched again. "You're too shameless. Who's here to support you?" "Alright, I was originally here to watch the show, but Enchanting is courting death by running her shameless mouth. We want you to win now, but can you win?" The Huang class students were originally very worried, but when they saw Yunchujio had strolled in, they felt an inexplicable sense of confidence. Perhaps their class monitor would give them a surprise. After all, she had never let them down before. Yunchujio finally strolled to the base of the competition stage. She leaped onto the competition stage and bowed to Instructor Zhuang, who was in charge of the competition. Then she walked to Enchanting's side and said with a smile, "Enchanting, have you prepared 2 million upper-grade spirit stones? Don't say that you don't have any money when you lose later." Enchanting curled her lips and said, "I should be the one asking you that question. You will be the one who loses." Yunchujio sighed and said, "Enchanting, we have no grudges between us. Moreover, although you are not very beautiful, you are not ugly enough to scare people. I have always been a soft-hearted person. If you cancel the competition now, it is still not too late. I will not hold it against you." Enchanting was so angry she gritted her teeth. "Yunchujio, you are really shameless. You are afraid and yet you still refuse to admit it, so you want me to cancel the competition on my own accord. Don't even think about it. Instructor Zhuang, since Yunchujio has arrived, the competition can begin." Instructor Zhuang stood up and glanced at the two of them. Then he said, "Yunchujio, you have not paid the fee for the competition. You can only start after you have paid the fee." Yunchujio's eyes were wide open. "What? You still need to pay a fee? How many spirit stones?" 500 spirit stones. Instructor Zhuang thought to himself, this Yunchujio was a hothead. Agreeing to such a reckless competition and not even knowing she had to pay a fee. Yunchujio frowned and looked at Enchanting. "Enchanting, this competition was proposed by you. You should pay the fees for me. Otherwise, let's forget about this competition." Instructor Zhuang was stunned on the spot. He had been in charge of the competition stage for many years, but there had never been a competitor who was so shameless. He actually asked his opponent to pay the fees for her. Her skin was too thick. The audience below the stage were equally stunned. Holy shit. There was no one else who was so shameless. Enchanting sneered. "Yunchujio, are you still shameless? Why should I pay the fees for you?" Yunchujio said with a smile, "Who asked you to propose the competition? You don't have to pay. I don't care. At most, we can cancel the competition." Enchanting's heart skipped a beat. This Yunchujio couldn't be thinking of taking the opportunity to cancel the competition, right? I can't let her have her way. And so she said, "You really are a poor person. You didn't say that on purpose, right? Did you think that I wouldn't help you pay for the competition so that you could cancel the competition? In your dreams. Instructor Zhuang, I will pay for Yunchujio's competition fees. Here are another 500 spirit stones." After Instructor Zhuang accepted the spirit stones, she took out a huge spirit stone from her storage ring. This is a low-level spirit stone. It can withstand attacks of less than 1,000 points. When you use your materialized spirit energy to attack this spirit stone, the display screen on the competition stage will display your attack power. Now you can begin. Which one of you will go first? Chapter 1084. A needle? Enchanting looked at Yunchujio with disdain. "Instructor Zhuang, I'll go first." Instructor Zhuang nodded. Enchanting walked to the designated area and formed a seal with her hands. A spiritual sword materialized from her spiritual power stabbed the spirit testing stone. The people below the stage exclaimed in surprise. They did not expect that although Enchanting was so arrogant, she actually had some skills. It was really rare for her to materialize a sword so solid for someone her age. The attack power of such a solid sword could reach at least 500 points. Soon, the display screen showed the attack power of Enchanting's sword. 505 points. Enchanting looked at Yunchujio proudly. "It's your turn." Yunchujio looked at her. "Enchanting, it's still not too late for you to go back on your words now. If you want to cancel the competition now, I will still let you go." Enchanting snorted. "Cut the crap, it's your turn." Yunchujio sighed faintly. "Sigh, it's hard to persuade a stubborn ghost. Since that's the case, I'll show you see how powerful I am. Yun Chujio walked to the designated area. Without forming a seal, she waved her hand and a small purple needle shot toward the spirit stone. The entire stage turned silent. What the hell did Yun Chujio materialize? Needle? How could a human materialize that thing? Insilian was the first to laugh out loud. Ha! Ha! Yun Chujio, you actually materialized a needle? Do you think that we're competing to sew clothes? The audience below the stage also laughed out loud. Damn. It's too funny. Yun Chujio actually materialized a needle. How much attack power can that needle have? It probably won't even reach one, right? That's right, she's too weak. No wonder Insilian called her trash. She's really is trash. There's no suspense in this match. Yun Chujio has overestimated herself. Isn't she asking to be humiliated? Instructor Ji Sha, Feng Ming and the others were filled with worry. Their thoughts were the same as those people. How powerful could a needle be? They were going to lose for sure. Instructor Ji Sha was extremely regretful. He had thought that Yun Chujio had a good idea, but now it seemed that this little girl was just trying to be brave. What should they do? The number on the display had always been 0, but it had not even reached a single point of attack power. Instructor Zhuang, who was in charge of the competition stage, looked at Yun Chujio sympathetically. Even though there were still a few seconds left, however, the result of this competition was obvious. Insilian had won. Insilian's face was full of pride. Yun Chujio, people, the most important thing is to have self-awareness. You were so weak that you should have apologized to me at that time. Now you have lost this competition. According to the agreement, you should kneel and apologize to me. Yun Chujio looked at her casually. What's the rush? Isn't it time yet? Maybe my little Jio's thunderbolt needle has not woken up yet. What a stubborn duck. Alright, I want to see how powerful an embroidery needle can be. Insilian said disdainfully. The people below the competition stage also felt that Yun Chujio was just being stubborn. No matter how powerful a needle was, could it be more powerful than the attack power of a sword? It was impossible. The Huang class students could not bear to watch. In a while, our class monitor will have to kneel to Insilian and admit her mistake. How will she be able to stay in Tianyuan Academy in the future? Not far away stood 2 old men. One of the old men said, Old Shao, I'm afraid you've made a mistake this time. This Yun Chujio's materialization is actually a needle. In the future it will be a fatal flaw when facing real enemies. Chapter 1085. The Spirit Stone exploded. Old Jiang, that little girl has surprised us time and time again. I believe that it will be the same this time. Just wait and see. This little girl must have some tricks up her sleeves. Otherwise her expression wouldn't be so calm. The 2 old men were Deputy Dean Shao and Deputy Dean Jiang. They were the 2 instructors who had taught Yun Chujio in the 3rd round of the test. Deputy Dean Jiang did not think much of Deputy Dean Shao's words. Old Shao, aren't you too confident in this little girl? No matter how powerful a needle is, it can still have. Before Deputy Dean Jiang could finish his words, a loud boom was heard. Everyone was stunned on the spot. The Spirit Stone had exploded. It exploded. What did that mean? It meant that the attack power of Yun Chujio's needle exceeded 1,000. How was that possible? Everyone looked at the display screen at the same time. There was a row of question marks on it. Obviously it was caused by the explosion of the Spirit Stone. While everyone was stunned, Insilian shouted in panic, there must be a malfunction in the Spirit Stone. That must be it. Instructor Zhuang, is it because the Spirit Stone itself has cracks? Instructor Zhuang said unhappily, I have checked the Spirit Stone before using it. It was perfectly fine. It's not a problem with the Spirit Stone. If there isn't a problem with the Spirit Stone, does that mean that good-for-nothing Yun Chujio produced a needle with more than 1,000 attack points? This is a huge joke. Insilian's face flushed red. She could not believe what she was seeing. Someone below the stage shouted, that's right, how can a needle have such great power? There must be a problem with the Spirit Stones. Let's test it again. Right. Let's test it again or else we won't be convinced by the result. Retest. Retest. The people who shouted were Insilian and Inzinlian's followers. Of course they did not want Yun Chujio to win, so they strongly requested a retest. Alright. In that case, let's use the intermediate level Spirit Stone to retest this time. Insilian, do the test again. Instructor Zhuang was also a little hesitant. Although she had indeed checked the spirit stone before, how could Yun Chujia's materialized needle have more than 1,000 attack points? Could it be that I missed something when I was checking? Yin Sulian glared at Yun Chujio. I just let you take advantage of me just now. This time I'll let you reveal your true colors. Yun Chujio pursed her lips. Reveal my true colors? I'm not some demon who's hiding behind a disguise. Yin Sulian, I'm a kind-hearted person. If you give up now I'll still agree. When Yun Chujio said that, Yin Sulian was even more certain that it was because of the spirit stones. She said disdainfully, don't even think about it. A needle competing against my sword? What a joke. Sigh. Alright, since you want to kneel and admit your mistake so badly, I won't stop you. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Seeing Yun Chujio's calm smile, Yin Sulian felt a little scared. Could it be that the needle that she materialized really had such great power? No, she must be faking it. It was impossible. Yin Sulian calmed herself down and walked to the designated area to attack the middle-grade spirit stones. Her materialized sword stabbed at the middle-grade spirit stones. The display quickly displayed the result of the attack. 515. It had 10 more attack power than before. Yin Sulian revealed a smug smile. This time she performed even better. Yun Chujio, you're going to lose for sure. Chapter 1086. Overwhelming power. After Yin Sulian's turn was over, it was Yun Chujio's turn. She walked unsteadily to the designated area and casually waved her hand as she shot a small purple needle at the middle-grade spirit stone. The display still showed 0. Yin Sulian pursed her lips and said, I told you, there was a problem with that spirit stone just now. How can a piece of trash from the Huang class surpass me? The people below the competition stage also discussed what they saw animatedly. It seemed that there was a problem with the spirit stone just now. How could the power of a needle be more powerful than a treasured sword? That simply did not make sense. Feng Ming and the others' hearts immediately jumped to their throats. Their originally ecstatic mood instantly fell to the bottom. Could it be that it was just an accident just now? At this moment, someone pointed at the screen and exclaimed, Look! Everyone looked up and saw the numbers on the screen start to soar. 100, 300, 500. Yin Sulian's face started to turn pale, especially when the number on the screen exceeded 500 and continued to soar. It was impossible. It was impossible. The number on the screen finally stopped at 1001. Everyone was stunned. What did 1001 mean? It meant that the small needle that Yun Chujio materialized had reached the level of an intermediate-level materialization user. Although it could not be directly compared, it had already crushed the power level range usually displayed by beginner-level materialization skills. Moreover, the most important thing was that Yun Chujio had only learned materialization for a month. She could no longer be described as a genius. He was a monster. In the distance, Deputy Dean Xiao smiled and said to Deputy Dean Jiang, Old man Jiang, how is it? This time you're convinced, right? During the test, I already felt that that little girl wasn't as she seemed. Now that I look at her, she's an amazing genius. Deputy Dean Jiang nodded in a daze. You're right. That little girl has a boundless future. However, she's still too weak right now. She still needs time to grow and there will be a lot of hardships ahead. When has cultivation ever been smooth sailing? As long as the little girl is given time, she'll definitely be heaven's chosen comparable to His Excellency and young Master Wuji. Yun Chujio walked up to Yin Sulian and sneered. Yin Sulian, I've given you many chances, but it's a pity that you were so overconfident. Now it's time for you to fulfill your promise. 2 million high-grade spirit stones and kneeling to confess your crime. Hurry up. I still have other things to do in the afternoon. I don't have time to waste with you. Yin Sulian felt her mind go blank and her face was as pale as a sheet. She felt as if she could not stand straight anymore. The 2 million spirit stones payment was fine, but a confession on her knees was absolutely impossible. If I kneel, you'll never be able to face anyone again. Just as Yin Sulian was in despair, Yin Xinlian leaped onto the stage. Yun Chujio, Sulian isn't sensible, just let her go. I'm willing to pay you another 2 million high-grade spirit stones. You're both batchmates, don't tell me you're going to be so heartless that she'll never recover? Yun Chujio glanced at Yin Xinlian. Yin Xinlian, do you know who I hate the most? I hate fake self-righteous people like you the most. What do you mean I'm going to let her go? What do you mean I'm heartless? Was I the one who suggested the competition? I gave Enchanting at least 3 chances to call off the competition. She was the one who insisted on it. Moreover, if the person who lost was me, do you think your precious sister would let me go? Besides, this contest is between the 2 of us. Please go away. You have no right to speak here. Chapter 1087. Life and Death Arena. Enchanting grew so angry that her face turned red. She wished that she could kill Yunchujio there and then. However, she was much smarter than Enchanting, so she sneered and said, Yunchujio, I advise you not to be so ruthless. If you insist on letting Sulian carry out the bet today, I will issue a challenge to you. We will fight in the life and death arena. The crowd immediately exploded. God. Yunchujio has completely angered Enchanting. Fights in the life and death arena only ends one way, just like its namesake. Enchanting is said to be at the first level of the Spirit Saint realm. Yunchujio will definitely die at that time. However, doesn't the challenge order need to be signed by more than 80% of the students in the academy before it takes effect? Are you stupid? When that time comes, as long as Deputy Dean pulls some strings, do you think no one will sign it? As long as 80% of the students sign it, Yunchujio has no other choice but to accept the challenge and withdraw from the academy. Tiske, according to what you said, it seems that Yunchujio can only let Enchanting off today. Otherwise, she simply can't bear the consequences. Upon hearing her sister's words, Enchanting instantly regained her confidence. She fearlessly looked at Yunchujio and she said, Yunchujio, as my sister said, I'll transfer you 400,000 high-grade spirit stones, and well, forget about this matter once and for all. Otherwise, no matter how powerful trash from the Huang class is, they won't be able to stir up any waves. I will forever trample you under my feet. Yunchujio's eyes deepened and she said indifferently, although I like spirit stones, I like seeing coquettish sluts like you kneel before me even more. Enchanting, if you are willing to gamble, you must also be willing to pay the price. Kneel and admit your mistake. The crowd exploded again. That Yunchujio was not threatened by Enchanting. Although her courage was commendable, was she not courting death? When the challenge token came into effect, it would be time for you to lose your life. Instructor Ji Sha could not hold it in any longer and jumped onto the competition stage. He pulled Yunchujio to the side and said, Yunchujio, since you have already won, why are you so insistent on letting Enchanting kneel and admit her mistake? It's fine if you just take the 400,000 spirit stones. Otherwise, you will definitely die on the life and death arena. Instructor Ji Sha's words also represented the thoughts of Feng Ming and the others. That's right, they knew the consequences of not agreeing, so why should they put themselves in danger? Yunchujio's small face suddenly turned serious. Instructor Ji Sha, I understand that you're doing this for my own good, but if I'm back down from fear today, then what's the point of my cultivation? Failure isn't scary, the scariest thing is that I don't even dare to face it. Furthermore, I don't think that I can't defeat Enchanting. As far as I know, once the challenge order is in effect, the challenged can accept it at any time within half a year. It's enough for me to surpass Enchanting in half a year. Ji Sha only felt that Yunchujio's words were like a heavy hammer that struck him in the heart. He no longer tried to dissuade Yunchujio. Instead, he staggered away from the stage. Yunchujio frowned slightly. Her words had probably touched a nerve in Instructor Ji Sha's heart. It would be good if she could help him get over whatever was secretly troubling him. It was not just Instructor Ji Sha. Yunchujio's words had shocked many students. That's right, their cultivation was already against the heavens. Why would they still cultivate if they were afraid of things? However, most people still thought that Yunchujio was too impulsive. And she was too blindly confident. It was true that Yunchujio's talent was not bad, but there was no way she would reach the first level of the spiritual saint realm in half a year. Furthermore, Enchanting's spiritual power would continue to grow in that half year. How could she possibly catch up to her? Chapter 1088. Yunchujio was really evil. Enchanting said coldly, Yunchujio, although your courage is commendable, I advise you to think twice. This is a matter of life and death for you now. Yunchujio said indifferently, I also want to say this to you. Your sister is stupid, but I believe that you aren't. If you don't want to lose your life, don't provoke me. Enchanting sneered, You really don't know the immensity between heaven and earth. Yunchuju, I will give you one last chance. 400,000 spirit stones and this matter will be dropped. Otherwise, I will definitely issue a challenge to you. Yunchuju ignored her. Instead, she looked at Insulian, whose face turned pale again. Insulian, don't dawdle. Hurry up. Kneel and admit your mistake. Do you want to go back on your word? Back then you swore an inner demon oath. If you don't fulfill the promise, your soul will be shattered. Insulian was afraid that Yunchuju would not admit her defeat, so she suggested that the two of them swear an inner demon oath. She did not expect that she would be implicated now. If one of them was willing to forgive her, then the inner demon oath would not take effect. However, if Yunchuju insisted on fulfilling the promise, Insulian would be punished by Tiandao if she broke it. Insulian looked at Xinlian for help. Xinlian gritted her teeth and said, Sulian, keep to the agreement. Don't worry, I will avenge you for today's humiliation. Insulian knew that she had no way out. With a pale face, she knelt on the stage and said to Yunchuju, I was wrong. Yunchuju said with a smile, Insulian, this is not the first time you have knelt to me. Do you have to look like you are half dead? Admitting your mistakes is a huge improvement. I hope you'll learn to remember to not provoke me in the future. Otherwise, the next time you kneel won't be as simple as that. Oh right, if it wasn't for your sister's aggressive attitude, I wouldn't have made you kneel. After all, you even helped me pay for the competition fees previously. It's just a pity. Who asked you to have such an amazing sister? You had to come up and provoke me. If you want to blame someone, then blame her. The crowd below the stage felt a little cold for some reason. That Yunchuju was really evil. With those words, even if Insulian did not end up hating Xinlian, she would start feeling uncomfortable around her. Moreover, Insulian had been living in Xinlian's shadow the whole time, so she was probably already dissatisfied. As a result, a wedge would probably be driven between the Yin sisters after that day. As expected, after Insulian stood up, she handed over 200,000 upper-grade spirit stones to Yunchuju. She did not pay any attention to Xinlian and left the competition stage in a hurry. Xinlian's face flushed red. She turned around and said darkly to Yunchuju, Yunchuju, it seems that I've underestimated you. You actually dared to sow discord between us sisters. You're truly vicious to the extreme. I won't forgive you. I'll see you on the life and death arena. Xinlian, ask yourself, have I ever provoked you sisters? It's all your fault. I gave you sisters a chance but you didn't take it. Now you're blaming me? You don't have to use the life and death arena to scare me. The one who will die will be you. If you don't believe me, we'll see what happens, Yunchuju said indifferently. Yunchuju, no matter how glib your tongue is, it can't change the fact that you're weak. In half a year you'll be dead. After Xinlian said that, she jumped off the stage and left. Yunchuju bowed to the dumbfounded instructor Zhuang and then jumped off the stage. She said to the Huang class, Class, I've made a small fortune. Let's go to the canteen to get some food. Chapter 1089. Another beast-taming class. Although the students of the Huang class were a little worried about Xinlian's challenge, they still cheerfully escorted Yunchuju to the canteen to celebrate. When the crowd saw that the two main characters of the competition had left, they also dispersed. Deputy Dean Zhang said to Deputy Dean Xiao, Old Xiao, this Yunchuju is good in every aspect, but she's too arrogant. Xinlian was also considered a rather talented student, and she had also entered the top 100 of roll of prodigies of the academy's students. It was possible that she could even make it into the top 10 within a few days. Wasn't Yunchuju seeking her own death? I like this little girl's fearless spirit. Think about it, wasn't His Excellency and young Master Wuji the same back then? They had caused quite a bit of trouble back in the academy, especially when young Master Wuji had openly eaten in the library and damaged the cover of an ancient book. Now, didn't he one of the best in the Tianyuan continent? Those who followed the rules have become ordinary people. As for this genius, she has to have some character. Deputy Dean Xiao stroked his beard and said, That little girl's courage is certainly commendable, but the gap between her and Xinlian's strength is too large. It's impossible for her to succeed in a cross-level challenge. Unless she reaches the first level of the Spirit Saint realm within half a year, no matter how heaven-defying she is, she can't win. He was still too impulsive. Moreover, that rascal Ji Sha was muddled by that little girl's words. Ever since that incident he's as good as crippled. Deputy Dean Jiang sighed repeatedly. Old Jiang, you are a good person in every aspect, but you are too pessimistic. Believe me, that little girl Yunchujie will give us a pleasant surprise. As for Ji Sha, after being in a slump for such a long time, it's time for him to pull himself together. I hope so. Ever since the competition ended, Yunchujie had become famous in Tianyuan Academy. Almost all the instructors and students knew that there was a freak in the first grade Huang class. Even the news of Yunchujie's entrance exam had spread, not to mention the matter of her beating up the seniors and hanging herself at the disciplinary department. Wherever Yunchujie went, there would be people who whispered about her. Yunchujie had long been used to it and did not take it seriously. When she was in a good mood, she would even take the initiative to wave her hands at everyone like a celebrity. It was another day of beast taming classes. Yunchujie had just arrived at the entrance of the spirit beast garden when she felt a malicious gaze. She raised her head and saw Yin Sulian glaring at her. Yin Sulian had been depressed for a few days since the contest. She did not know how Yin Xinlian communicated with her. Anyway, after a few days Yin Sulian started to jump around again, as if she was not affected by the matter of her kneeling at all. Yunchujie could not help but click her tongue in wonder. That Yin Sulian is quite resilient, and that Yin Xinlian really could not be underestimated. Yunchujie, just you wait. Half a year later it will be your time to die. Yin Sulian wished she could strangle Yunchujie to death. Before she met Yunchujie, she had never suffered such a setback, let alone publicly kneel or admit to her mistakes. Yunchujie completely ignored Yin Sulian as if she did not see her. She chatted and laughed with Feng Ming and the other two as they entered the spirit beast garden. What Yunchujie did was like a hard slap to Yin Sulian's face, and her face flushed red. She wished she could chase after Yunchujie and kill her with a sword. However, when she remembered what Yin Xinlian said, she tried her best to suppress her anger as they entered the spirit beast garden. Everyone followed Instructor Qian to the courtyard where the demonic beast eggs were hatched. The class was still on the topic of trying to establish a spiritual connection with the demonic beast eggs. The instructors in the spirit beast garden had already attributed the last demonic beast egg riot to the heavenly lightning, so everything went on as usual. The students began to practice in batches. Yunchujie waited her turn at the back of the line. This time she did not dare to be too adventurous. She was afraid that the strange grass would cause trouble again, so she obediently waited at the back. Chapter 1090. A sudden kick to the gut. Although the previous batches of students were very serious in their practice, none of them were able to establish a spiritual connection with the demonic beast egg. However, that was also according to expectations. After all, they had only attended 3 beast taming classes so far. If they wanted to successfully establish a connection with the demonic beast egg, they would need at least a few months of practice before they would be successful. Finally, it was Yunchujie's turn. She had not officially practiced before. The first time it was because of the demonic beast egg riot, and the second time, it was because she had asked for a leave of absence after she agreed to compete with Yin Sulian. Therefore, she excitedly walked to the front and began to practice. She was full of confidence in herself. She felt that a genius like her would definitely succeed after practicing a few times. Unexpectedly, after trying for a while, the demonic beast egg that she practiced with did not have any reaction at all. It was almost time to end the class. Instructor Qian said, "All right. You guys can return to your groups. Well, continue practicing next time." Yunchujie was unwilling, but she could only do as she was told in a sullen mood. Instructor Qian gave some notes and announced the end of the class. Yunchujie followed the crowd and walked out. Coincidentally, she had just walked past the barbaric bear's beast house when she saw the 3rd grade students. It turned out that they also had a beast taming class today. Instructor Qian just happened to finish the 1st grade beast taming class and went straight to the 3rd grade beast taming class. Yunchujie lowered her head and pondered over the reason for her failure just now. Then she heard someone say with disdain, "Yo, isn't that the famous Yunchujie? You have a big heart. Your death will be in half a year and you still have the mood to take a beast taming class? Don't tell me you think that you can learn beast taming after cleaning the beast house for 2 days." Yunchujie raised her head and looked up. The one who spoke was Wu Heng. After Wu Heng had embarrassed himself last time, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was Yunchujie's doing. In his heart he hated Yunchujie. Moreover, he secretly liked Xinlian, who was in the same class as him. Yun Chujio had embarrassed Xinlian in front of everyone, and that made him hate Yun Chujio even more. When he saw Yun Chujio, he could not help but mock her. Yun Chujio was already in a bad mood. Now that Wu Heng had provoked her, all her anger was vented on him. Wu Heng, if it weren't for me, you would have been kicked out of Tianyuan Academy long ago. Not only are you ungrateful, but you even repaid my kindness with enmity. You're worse than a demon beast. Get lost. Wu Heng had not expected Yun Chujio to suddenly humiliate him in front of everyone. He got so angry that his face turned red. Yun Chujio, don't look at how you won against Xinlian. If you have the ability, you can compete with me in beast taming. Compete with you in beast taming? I probably can't compete with you. After all, you look so much like a bear. Perhaps you guys are even related. How can I compete with you? Yun Chujio said with a smile, little fellow, you want to compete with my glib tongue? I don't even have to swear when I scold people. When everyone heard Yun Chujio's words, they could not help but laugh out loud. Wu Heng grew even more embarrassed. He gritted his teeth and he said, Yun Chujio, you piece of trash. It's useless to talk nonsense. To put it bluntly, you just don't dare to compete with me. Your Huang class is trash. Your Azure Mystic Continent is the trashiest among trash. Yun Chujio's small face immediately sank. Wu Heng, you've provoked me several times, but I didn't lower myself to your level. Apologize to me immediately or I won't forgive you. Apologize. Not forgive me. Yun Chujio, what right do you have to say that? Who do you think you are? Wu Heng said arrogantly. Yun Chujio suddenly moved forward and kicked Wu Heng in the stomach. Wu Heng did not expect Yun Chujio to suddenly kick him without a word and break the rules of the academy. Yun Chujio kicked him more than 10 feet away without any warning and he slumped to the ground in a sorry state. Chapter 1091. A waste of time. Everyone was stunned. Yun Chujio was too daring. She dared to blatantly violate the academy's rules. She had just beaten up her senior again. Xinlian was secretly delighted. That Yun Chujio was really an idiot. She did not even need her sister to trouble herself to issue a challenge. She dared to beat up her senior so she would face the consequences soon. Not only did she violate the academy's rules, but that Wu Heng was also Instructor Wu's nephew. Instructor Wu would not let her off so easily. Wu Heng climbed up in a sorry state and shouted, Yun Chujio, you dared to beat me up. This is a violation of the rules of the academy. I'll go to the disciplinary department to report you. Just wait to receive your punishment. Yun Chujio curled her lips. She said indifferently, go ahead. You'd better go and report it to Instructor Yuan. I believe that Instructor Yuan will remember some interesting memories. Moreover, I have a good memory, so I remember some things very clearly. Moreover, I believe that those vermilion-beaked long-feather cranes will also help me testify. Wu Heng was stunned for a moment before he said in a flustered and exasperated manner, Yun Chujio, don't think that you can blackmail me just like that. You know very well what exactly happened last time. You know very well? Didn't you already investigate the truth last time? Are you questioning Instructor Yuan or your uncle Instructor Wu? Or do you think that the cranes are lying? If you have the ability, go ahead and sue me. But wait. Yun Chujio's small face was full of arrogance. She was certain that Wu Heng would not dare to report her. Wu Heng gritted his teeth. Yun Chujio, don't be so arrogant. If you have the guts, then compete with me in beast taming. Otherwise, you'll be admitting that your Huang class and the Azure Mystic Continent are trash. Wu Heng, do you still have any shame? You're a third-year student, and you want to compete with a new student who just attended 2 classes. You're shameless. I don't have the time to bother with you. Stand aside. Yun Chujio was not stupid. It was different from competing with Xinlian. The difference was too great, so only a fool would agree. Wu Heng looked at Yun Chujio's back and gnashed his teeth in anger. Yun Chujio, I won't forgive you. Let's wait and see. Another 3 days passed. That morning it was another day for beast taming class. Yun Chujio and the others followed Instructor Qian to the yard where the demonic beast eggs were located. Instructor Qian saw the instructor inside and was stunned. Instructor Bai? Isn't Instructor Du always in charge of the hatching of the demonic beast egg? Instructor Bai frowned unhappily. Instructor Qian, although I'm not that talented, I'm still an instructor of the Spirit Beast Garden. Do you have a problem with me being transferred here? Instructor Bai, you misunderstand. I'm just a little surprised. Please forgive me. Instructor Qian felt that what he said just now was indeed a little abrupt, so he quickly apologized. Instructor Bai snorted coldly. Forget it. I'm not a petty person. You guys can start the lesson. Although Instructor Qian was a little uncomfortable, he could not say much since he was in the wrong. He proceeded with the class. Instructor Qian first answered some of the students' questions, then explained some things to take note of so that everyone could practice in groups. Yun Chujie was still in the last group. She had thought about it ever since the last class, but she could not figure it out. She itched to try it again. Finally, it was Yun Chujie's turn. She tried but failed once again and returned to the group unhappily. Instructor Qian encouraged everyone and announced the end of the class. Just as Yun Chujie was about to leave with the others, Instructor Bai stopped her. Chapter 1092. Demon Beast Eggs Going Crazy. Yun Chujie, I heard that you have cleaned the beast house before. It just so happens that I need to clean this place as well. You stay and help me clean. Don't worry, your efforts won't be for nothing. I will reward you with 100 contribution points. 100 contribution points. Yun Chujie's eyes immediately lit up. The Tianyuan Academy's library required one to amass a certain amount of contribution points to be able to enter, and the channels for first-year students to obtain contribution points were limited. If I could obtain 100 contribution points, I could enter the library as many times as I wanted. It was worth it. Since I have nothing to do anyway, let's do it. Yun Chujie thought about it and nodded happily. After greeting Feng Ming and the other two, she put on the self-made gas mask, took the cleaning tools prepared by Instructor Bai, and started to clean the shed of the demon beast eggs. While Yun Chujie was cleaned earnestly, suddenly several demon beast eggs broke through the array formation and rushed toward Yun Chujie. Yun Chujie was in a dilemma. Although those demon beast eggs had not hatched yet, if so many demon beast eggs hit her, she would either die or be injured. However, if she used her spiritual power to attack them, their shells would be broken. If the shells of the demon beast eggs were broken, they would die without a doubt, and then she would inevitably be punished. The entire thought process happened in a flash. Yun Chujie quickly made a decision, and that was to run. Yun Chujie rushed out of the courtyard gate and ran all the way. As she ran, she cursed at the strange grass. Fuck. Strange grass. Did you do this? Stop right now. The strange grass trembled innocently. What the fuck, it wasn't it. It wasn't caused by the strange grass? Yun Chujie quickly thought of something. The original Instructor Du was replaced by Instructor Bai, and he even took the initiative to ask her to help clean up. Previously, Wu Heng had even said some harsh words. Could it be a trap? It must be so, otherwise how would the array formation of the demon beast eggs fail so easily? Either she was seriously injured by the demon beast eggs or she destroyed them. Either outcome was unfavorable for her. Fuck, damn you Wu Heng, just you wait, I won't let you off. Although several thoughts flashed through Yun Chujie's mind, she kept running and soon rushed out of the spirit beast garden. The passing students and instructors were all dumbfounded. Fuck, what was going on? They saw Yun Chujie as she ran ahead, followed closely by a large group of demon beast eggs. The small ones were only the size of a fist, while the big ones were even bigger than Yun Chujie. Not only were there white ones, but there were also red, yellow, and green ones. Yun Chujie shouted as she ran, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Quickly get out of the way! These demon beast eggs are crazy. Quickly help me send a message to Instructor Qian. There will definitely be a reward." Everyone looked at each other. Damn it, this was the first time they had seen such a spectacle. What was going on? Why did the demon beast eggs chase Yun Chujie? Was that not a really crazy situation? No, even if the eggs were crazy, they would have attacked everyone, so why did they go after Yun Chujie? What Yun Chujie did not know was that Instructor Bai was also dumbfounded. He had indeed received Instructor Wu's order to deal with Yun Chujie. He secretly sprinkled some beast-luring incense on the tools that were attractive to the demon beasts, and also tweaked the array formation. That way Yun Chujie would either be killed by the demon beast eggs or she would be in big trouble. However, he did not expect Yun Chujie to react so quickly. She had rushed out of the courtyard so quickly that he did not even have time to make his move. What was even more unexpected was that those demon beast eggs had flown out after her. Chapter 1093. I'm not your mother. That's impossible. The effect of the beast-luring incense is limited. How did those demon beast eggs fly out with Yunchujio? Oh no. This has gotten out of hand. I have to quickly consult Instructor Wu. Instructor Bai wiped the sweat off his forehead and quickly went to look for Instructor Wu. At that moment, Yunchujio had already run to Dean Huangfu's courtyard in one breath. She was already used to using that place as her sanctuary. Big brother guard. Big brother guard. Quickly let me in. The demon beast eggs have gone crazy. Yunchujio shouted. That burly guard was scared silly. But why was it that every time this little girl came she was always in a rush? The last time she brought about more than 10 hours of heavenly lightning. This time it was hundreds of demon beast eggs. Yunchujio did not have the time to say anything and barged into the courtyard. Dean sir, help. The demon beast eggs have gone crazy. Dean Huangfu heard Yunchujio's shouts and left the study room. First he saw the little girl barge in while in a hurry. Then hundreds of demon beast eggs of different sizes flew or jumped over. The corner of Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched violently. What happened to this little girl was always so unbelievable. He hurriedly released his spiritual pressure. Under the immense pressure the demon beast eggs trembled and stopped moving. Yunchujio saw that the demon beast eggs had been intimidated by Dean Huangfu's pressure. She quickly took advantage of the situation. With one hand on her waist and the other pointing at the demon beast eggs, she cursed, "You idiots, I'm not your mother. Why are you chasing me for no reason?" The corner of Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched again. This little girl was shameless. He coughed dryly and asked, "Yunchujio, what's going on?" Yunchujio's expression immediately changed from one of arrogance and anger to a pitiful look. Dean, I'm also puzzled. I was cleaning the place but then these demon beast eggs suddenly attacked me. Although I can use my spiritual power to attack them, I thought that being treasures of our academy I hesitated. I have to consider the overall situation first after all. Therefore I endured the humiliation and risked my life to run all the way here to seek your help. Dean Huangfu cursed in his heart. This little girl at such a time still made herself look like a saint. He did not know whether to praise her for being calm or thick-skinned. At the time Instructor Qian rushed over when he heard the news. Just as he walked to Yunchujio's side he smelled beast-luring incense on her. Instructor Qian frowned. Why do you smell like beast-luring incense? Yunchujio's face first revealed a surprised and puzzled expression, then she angrily said, "Someone must have framed me. Dean sir, you have to stand up for me. I'm such a kind and honest person, yet someone framed me. Won't the other students and instructors feel even more insecure?" Dean Huangfu and Instructor Qian looked at each other. They both had the same thought in their hearts. You're really shameless. How can you be so honest with your thorny head? If this were true honesty, there wouldn't be any more dishonest people in Tianyuan Academy. However, there was actually someone who used the Academy's demon beast egg as a means of framing people. His heart was truly excruciating. He was too bold. Dean Huangfu's face was as dark as water. Just as he was about to send a message to Deputy Dean Jiang, Instructor Wu arrived with Instructor Bai. The moment Instructor Bai entered the courtyard he asked with concern, "Yunchujio, are you all right? This is all my fault. I'm really sorry. I did not perform my duty well enough. Dean, please punish me. This is all my fault." Chapter 1094. How to deal with this. Oh, what's going on? Dean Huangfu's face was gloomy as he stared at Instructor Bai. Instructor Bai wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. "I just made the beast guiding incense yesterday. After I was done I kept it in my storage ring. I hadn't expected the bottle stopper to fall off, spilling the incense onto the cleaning tools. Therefore when Yunchujio used those cleaning tools to clean the beast house, it caused the demon beast eggs to go berserk. Instructor Bai, as far as I know, the shed where those demon beast eggs are located has a protective array. How did these demon beast eggs get past that?" questioned Instructor Qian. As a beast master, Instructor Qian held these demon beast eggs in high regard. He did not believe Instructor Bai's nonsense at all. Instructor Bai mentally scoffed at Instructor Qian for being nosy. However, he still explained, "To make Yunchujio clean faster, I loosened the array of those sheds a little. Anyway, I saw no harm in doing that. I didn't expect the situation with the beast luring incense. This is indeed negligence on my part. I am willing to accept any punishment from the academy. Dean Huangfu remained silent after hearing Instructor Bei's words. Instructor Wu said from the side, Dean, this matter indeed involves some negligence in the Spirit Beast Garden. However, Instructor Bei's actions were completely unintentional. I hope that Dean can be lenient with him. Yun Chujio, who watched at the side, had already confirmed that it was a conspiracy by Wu Shi's uncle and nephew against her. She sneered in her heart, very well. Since you guys took the initiative to provoke me, don't blame me for being inconsiderate. Just as Dean Huangfu was about to deal with Instructor Bai, Deputy Dean Yin and the others arrived. As soon as he entered the courtyard, Deputy Dean Yin said, Instructor Bai didn't do it on purpose and it didn't cause any consequences. Let's give him a lighter punishment. Dean Huangfu's eyes darkened as he said indifferently, since Deputy Dean Yin has said so, then let's punish Instructor Bai by deducting half a year's monthly salary. Yun Chujio suffered an unexpected disaster and we will compensate you with 100 contribution points. Yun Chujio said sneakily, Dean, Instructor Bai promised me that he would reward me with 100 contribution points for cleaning the beast house. I wonder if it still counts. Dean Huangfu said with a laugh, of course it counts. I'll reward you with a total of 200 contribution points then. Thank you, Dean. Yun Chujio said and jumped in front of the demon beast eggs. She put her hands on her hips and said, idiots. Did you all hear that? The reason why you were tortured here has nothing to do with me. Chapter 1095. A combination of the two. After Yun Chujio walked out of Dean Huangfu's courtyard, she saw a lot of onlookers. She rolled her eyes, then cupped her hands towards the crowd. Dear students, please bear witness. A few days ago, Wu Heng of the 3rd grade's Tian class shamelessly proposed to have a beast taming competition with me. I didn't agree. However, after this latest incident, I've decided to agree to his competition. Otherwise, my life would continue to be in danger. The onlookers were a little dumbfounded at first. They had not known what Yun Chujio meant when she said that. There was a clever one who whispered, I understand. Think about it, who is Wu Heng's uncle? Wu Heng's uncle? Isn't his uncle Instructor Wu from the Spirit Beast Garden? That's it. Why would the demon beast egg go crazy for no reason? Think about it carefully. Could it be because Yun Chujio didn't agree with Wu Heng's competition request? So Instructor Wu? I didn't say anything. As long as you and I know it clearly, it's fine. Yun Chujio was forced into a corner, so she could only agree to Wu Heng's request. Otherwise something might have happened. In her heart, Yun Chujio gave a thumbs up to the student who spoke first. What a talent. That was exactly what she wanted. Although she could not find any evidence that Wu Shi's uncle and nephew had harmed her, she had to first build up some public opinion. When the time came, she only needed an opportunity to take advantage of them. Wu Heng also stood amongst the crowd. When he heard what the crowd had discussed, he was about to explode. He squeezed out of the crowd and said fiercely, Yun Chujio, what do you mean? Yun Chujio trembled for a moment and revealed a fearful expression. Wu Heng, I don't mean anything. I've agreed to your competition request. I don't want to be chased and attacked by the demon beast egg anymore. What does your being attacked by the demon beast egg have to do with me? Could it be that you are implying that I framed you? Wu Heng said with a stern expression but a timid tone. I didn't say that. You said it yourself. Students, you must take me as a warning. Some people really shouldn't be offended. Otherwise, their lives will be in danger. Yun Chujio said pitifully. When the onlookers heard Yun Chujio's words, most of them glared at Wu Heng angrily. People sympathized with the weak, especially after they saw Yun Chujio being chased by the demon beast eggs. They were dissatisfied with Wu Shi's uncle and nephew. Could it be that that uncle and nephew duo had the power to casually frame others? It was too much. Wu Heng gnashed his teeth in anger. He knew that his eloquence could not compare to Yun Chujio. He sneered and said, Yun Chujio, very good. Since you promised to compete with me, then we will have a 2-hour competition in 3 days. Chapter 1096. The truth about the crane's tail feathers. Yun Chujio, cut the crap. Do you dare to agree to my request? If you do, swear an inner demon oath immediately. If you don't, scram. Yun Chujio had exposed Wu Heng's hidden thoughts. He wished he could kill Yun Chujio right now. However, due to the rules of the academy, he had no choice but to restrain himself. Junior sister Little Jiu, class monitor, Feng Ming's group and the students of the Huang class all looked at Yun Chujio. The meaning was obvious. Their looks told Yun Chujio not to be impulsive. Yun Chujio smiled at them, then she said casually, "What's there to be afraid of? I'll agree to it." Yun Chujio began to swear in her heart. "By the heavenly Tao, I Yun Chujio hereby swear that if I lose the match with Wu Heng, I will kneel and admit my mistake and pay him 2 million high-grade spirit stones. If I violate this oath, I will be struck by lightning." "Wu Heng, I have finished swearing. It's your turn," Yun Chujio said with a smile. She secretly thought to herself, "Humph, I can't wait for lightning to strike me. Even if I really lose, I will never admit my mistake. You can't do anything about it." Wu Heng did not know that there were so many twists and turns in this matter. He also swore an inner demon oath and left after saying those harsh words. When Feng Ming and the other 2 students of the Huang class heard that Yun Chujio had agreed to the competition, they could only sigh and did not know what else to say. Now they could only hope that Yun Chujio would create another miracle. Dean Huangfu and the others watched the whole process in the courtyard, each with their own thoughts. Deputy Dean Yin and the others naturally gnashed their teeth, hoping that Wu Heng would kill Yun Chujio during the competition. Dean Huangfu and the others were a little worried that Yun Chujio really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. She had only gone through 3 beast-taming lessons, yet she dared to agree to Wu Heng's challenge, who had learned beast-taming techniques for 3 years, to have a competition. There was no suspense at all about the result of the competition. This time she would definitely lose. He was too impulsive. Just when everyone was lost in their own thoughts, they did not expect Yun Chujio to jump in again. "Instructor Qian, please come over. I have something to ask you." Instructor Qian did not understand and followed Yun Chujio out of the courtyard. He asked curiously, "Yun Chujio, what is it you wanted to ask?" "Instructor Qian, please work hard. Use these 2 days to explain the rest of the beast taming class to me. I won't let your hard work amount to nothing. Here are 1 million upper-grade spirit stones. Please accept it." Yun Chujio was quite generous when she should be. Instructor Qian was different from Instructor Jisha. Chapter 1097. Demon beasts are terrified of evildoers. Instructor Qian, I have answered all your questions. Will you agree to teach me the beast taming technique? Yun Chujio saw Instructor Qian's dumbfounded face and could only ask. Instructor Qian nodded blankly and had a vague idea in his heart. Perhaps such a little devil was more suitable to practice the beast taming technique, because not only were humans afraid of evildoers, demon beasts were also terrified of evildoers. Great. Thank you, Instructor Qian. Let's find a place to study. I know a classroom that is empty in the afternoon. Let's practice there. Yun Chujio hopped in front to lead the way. Instructor Qian shook his head slightly and followed her. 2 people stood not far away and stared at Yun Chujio's back with vicious expressions. "Sister, why did you stop me just now? That Yun Chujio's words are too mean." Yin Sulian said angrily. "If you can't bear it, then you'll mess up the plan. There's no need to argue with her. Wu Heng will not let her off. We just need to wait and see," Yin Xinlian said coldly. Yin Sulian gritted her teeth. "That Yun Chujio deserves to die. Sister, what did 4th Grandpa say about the challenge?" 4th Grandpa has already arranged for the relevant instructors to get the students to sign it. I believe that the challenge will take effect soon. Even if Wu Heng can't do anything to that bitch this time, I will kill her in half a year. Yin Xinlian's eyes flashed viciously. "Sister, when Wu Heng competes with her, even if Yun Chujio loses, she will only kneel. It's too easy for her." Yin Sulian curled her lips and said, "Humph. It won't be that simple. Wu Heng must hate Yun Chujio to the core. He will definitely do something to the demon beast. He will very likely order the demon beasts to attack Yun Chujio. At that time, Yun Chujio will either end up dead or injured. Let's just wait and prepare to watch a good show." Yun Chujio and Instructor Qian came to an empty classroom. It was the classroom where Instructor Jisha had taught Yun Chujio the materialization of spiritual power. Instructor Qian sighed. "Yun Chujio, although you have many ideas, I honestly don't have much confidence in you in the competition 3 days later. Right now, you haven't even learned how to establish a spiritual connection with the demon beast egg. Not to mention that you need to control a level 16 demon beast during the competition. How can you win? It's all in the hands of the practitioner. At most you'll just admit defeat. Isn't it just kneeling and admitting my mistake? It's a piece of cake. Yun Chujio said indifferently. She thought to herself, if I really can't do it, they'll still use that trick to activate the concealment talisman and beat Wu Heng up. I like it the most when it's simple and crude. When Instructor Qian heard Yun Chujio say that, he shook his head and said, if that's the case, then let's leave everything to fate. I'll teach you the elementary beast taming technique. Actually, it isn't complicated, it just requires constant practice. What Wu Heng has mastered is only the elementary beast taming technique. Instructor Qian used only 6 hours to teach the elementary beast taming technique to Yun Chujio. As Instructor Qian said, the elementary beast taming technique wasn't too complicated. The only difficult part was how to establish a spiritual connection with the demon beast, and to tame it to prevent it from backfiring on the user. After she thanked Instructor Qian, Yun Chujio hopped back to her dormitory. She decided to test it on the low-level demon beasts in the Great Void Mystic Realm. However, what disappointed her was that even if it was a low-level demon beast, she was unable to establish a spiritual connection with it. In a fit of anger, she killed the level 8 fire-breathing ash wolf and then roasted it with the 3 silly munchkins to eat. The flaming 3-tailed fox king's eyes lit up. Chapter 1098. The library. The demon beast meat from the beasts inside the Great Void Mystic Realm was much tastier than the ones outside. The 4 foodies ate until their mouths were greasy. Burp. Master, what are you going to do if you can't learn beast taming on time? Burp. Little Black Bird asked Yun Chujio while he constantly burped. There are still 2 days left. I'll practice again. If it doesn't work, he'll beat him up. Anyway, I won't kneel to that idiot. Burp. Master, then why did you have to agree to compete with that Wu Heng? Our chances of winning are not great. Little Black Bird asked in confusion. Humph. What happened today must be a trap set by Wu Shi's uncle and nephew. Since they have already made their move, I might as well take the initiative to attack to avoid falling into an unfavorable situation. That Wu Heng hates me to the bone now. He will definitely do something during the competition. When the time comes, he might even drag that Instructor Wu into it. Then I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, Yun Chujio said indifferently. Little Black Bird and the other 2 shivered. Their black-hearted master seemed to be getting more and more evil. They had to be obedient in the future. Otherwise they would be in big trouble. Master, although your idea is good, what should we do about this competition? Moreover, if Wu Heng does something underhanded, what if you get hurt? Little Black Bird said carefully. What you said makes sense. However, I haven't thought of any good ideas for the time being. Anyway, there are still 2 days left. There's no rush. Let's go to bed first. After saying that, Yun Chujio yawned and went into the room to sleep. The 3 silly munchkins looked at each other. This girl was really big-hearted. He probably wouldn't get angry even if the sky fell. The next morning there was a spiritual power class. Yun Chujio attended as if nothing had happened. After class, Instructor Ji Sha called Yun Chujio to the side. Do you think you have a chance of winning the match between you and Wu Heng? Since the conversation on the stage last time, Instructor Ji Sha seemed to have changed. His clothes started to become neat, but that was all. Yun Chujio shook her head honestly. Not yet. Do you need my help? Not yet. Thank you, Instructor Ji Sha. Then be careful. After Instructor Ji Sha said that, he left just like that. Yun Chujio touched her nose. Damn, did he feel at ease with her or did he give up on her? He left just like that. Yun Chujio thought of the 200 contribution points she had just received and decided to go to the Tianyuan Academy's library to try her luck. She wanted to see if she could find any inspiration among the books. She hopped into the library and saw the unremarkable 3-story building in front of her. He couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. This Tianyuan Academy's library was quite shabby, wasn't it? This library wasn't as imposing as the Spirit Radiance Sect's library. After Yun Chujio handed her identity jade token to the instructor in charge of the library, she walked in. She could not help but exclaim in surprise when she saw what was inside. So that's how it was. It turned out that there was another world inside the unremarkable 3-story small building. It was like another dimension. After one stepped in, one would be transported to the corresponding floor, making it very convenient. Yun Chujio chose a beast-taming book and was immediately transported to the corresponding fourth floor. The bookshelf was full of jade slips and sheepskin books about beast-taming techniques. Yun Chujio held the principle that she would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. He started reading from the beginning. She flipped through the book as she speedily read the contents. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. She quickly finished reading a row of books and then began to read the ones on the second row. Chapter 1099. The essence of the beast-taming technique. Yun Chujio initially went to the library to find inspiration. However, after she read the various books, she grew addicted. She felt that the beast-taming technique was even more interesting than she thought. It was not too late for her to get to learn more. Time passed quickly. Yun Chujio read and read until the next morning. It was not until Little Black Bird urged her that she regained his senses. These books are really interesting. I'll ask Instructor Ji Shaw for a leave of absence. I'll continue reading today instead of attending class. After saying that, Yun Chujio took out her identity jade token and asked Instructor Ji Shaw for permission to take a leave of absence. She then picked up another book and began to read once more. Another day passed and it was already the night of the next day. Little Black Bird said anxiously, "Master, the time for the competition is 2 o'clock tomorrow. Did you find any good ideas? If not, we have to go and beat them up soon." No hurry, no hurry. Keep looking. If it doesn't work out, I'll act like a scoundrel. Anyway, heavenly lightning can't kill me. I don't have any other talents except my thick skin, Yun Chujio said indifferently. Little Black Bird was speechless. Are these books that good? As for making you lose your face. It was not until the next morning that Yun Chujio stretched lazily and yawned. It's almost late. I can only come again when I have time. The ancients had not deceived me. As expected, the books were a goldmine of knowledge. Master, don't think about that nonsense. Have you found any inspiration? Little Black Bird felt that when he had been worried for his unimportant master, he had completely forgotten how unwilling he was to acknowledge her as his master back then. Reading the books was not for nothing. I have read so many beast-taming books and come to a conclusion. In fact, the so-called beast-taming technique is to force a spirit beast to acknowledge its master temporarily. Therefore, the beast-taming technique can only be used to control demon beasts with lower spiritual power than oneself. Master, although I think what you said makes sense, what does your conclusion have to do with the competition? It's almost time. What do you plan to do? Of course it has to do with me. Although I still can't establish a spiritual connection with the demon beasts, I can trick them. I don't believe that those demon beasts will cover their ears and not listen to me. As long as they are willing to listen, I have a way to trick them. I'll go to the canteen for breakfast first, and then go to the beast-taming field in the spirit beast garden. Little Black Bird listened to Yun Chujio's words and was dumbfounded. Master, since you are going to trick them anyway, then why are you still learning the beast-taming technique? What are you playing at? Little Black Bird had misunderstood Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio meant to bluff the demon beast first and then use the beast-taming technique to control it. That would increase the chances of controlling the demon beast. Yun Chujio hopped to the teleportation array. A white light flashed and she disappeared. At the time, a dry old man appeared out of thin air on the 4th floor of the library. Looking at Yun Chujio's back, he muttered, "Was that little girl reading or just flipping through books? Can she remember everything just by flipping through it? The books she read seemed to be all about beast taming. Could it be that she wants to become a beast-taming master? A beast-taming master with a heavenly thunder root spirit is worth looking forward to." At the Tianyuan Academy beast-taming field. At that moment, the beast-taming field was filled with noise. Only during the semester assessment or the academy's celebration would the beast-taming field be opened to the public. However, to make Yun Chujio even more embarrassed, Wu Heng allowed Instructor Wu to make an exception and open the beast-taming field to the public. Students who had free time poured in to watch the commotion. Chapter 1100. Convinced. There and then in the middle of the beast-taming field was a large clearing. The surrounding area was isolated by a formation, so it would not cause any harm to the onlookers. There were seats on 3 sides of the clearing. On the south side was a high platform. Wu Heng stood proudly on it and thought to himself, "Yun Chujio, you still dare to fight me? You're asking for trouble. This time you will definitely lose. Since it was a competition, there naturally had to be a referee. To avoid suspicion, Wu Heng especially requested for Instructor Qian to be the referee. It was also an idea given to him by his uncle, Instructor Wu. He wanted Instructor Qian to be the referee so that he would not be accused of cheating or something like that. Wu Heng checked the time and saw it was almost time for the competition. Yun Chujio had yet to show her face, so he reckoned that she would not dare to come. Instructor Qian, Yun Chujio hasn't come yet. Can you say that I've won? Wu Heng asked proudly. Instructor Qian frowned. He did not like Wu Heng's arrogant look. He said indifferently, it's still half an hour before the appointed hour. Maybe Yun Chujio will be here soon. Wu Heng bit back a retort. He quietly cursed Instructor Qian in his heart. Just you wait. Sooner or later, I'll ask my uncle to get Deputy Dean Yin to fire you. We'll see how you can still be arrogant then. Those onlookers were also discussing animatedly. Look at the time, Yun Chujio still isn't here. Is it possible that she chickened out? I think so too. This competition is different from the previous one with Yin Sulian. There is no suspense at all. She will definitely be the loser. Indeed. Wu Heng has been learning the beast controlling technique for 3 years. It is said that Yun Chujio has only taken 3 classes. The difference in strength between the two sides is too great. If Yun Chujio wants to win, she will need a miracle. I don't think so. Last time when she competed with Yin Sulian in the materialization of spiritual power, you guys said that she couldn't win. But in the end, her materialization of spiritual power simply crushed all the elementary materialization techniques. That's right. Last time Yun Chujio came at the right time. This time she will definitely be here too. If she was afraid, she wouldn't have taken the initiative to agree to Wu Heng's competition in the first place. Yun Chujio even dared to go to the disciplinary department to hang herself. How would she cower at the last minute? She will definitely come. At that moment, inside the canteen, Feng Ming and the other 2 stared anxiously. Junior sister Little Gio, the time for the competition is almost up. Don't eat yet. Yun Chujio slowly picked up the fish and ate it while she said, "What's the hurry? You can't be in a hurry when eating fish. It would be bad if you get fish bones stuck in your throat." Feng Ming and the other 2 almost wanted to kill her with a slap. Why did you order a plate of fish when you know you're in a rush? It's so early in the morning. Why don't you just eat a few buns? What are you eating, fish? I've been hungry for a while after missing a few meals. Naturally, I have to replenish my strength. Otherwise, how would I deal with that big bear, Wu Heng? Yun Chujio continued to eat at a leisurely pace as if she did not care that the time was almost up. Finally, when Feng Ming and the other 2 were about to break down, she put down her chopsticks and waved her hands. Let's go. Junior sister Little Gio, have you learned the beast taming technique or not? Feng Ming asked worriedly. Yun Chujio shook her head very naturally. No, that thing is so difficult. How could I possibly learn it in 3 days? Feng Ming and the other 2's hearts sank. Then what should we do? Well, act according to the circumstances. If it doesn't work, I'll act like a scoundrel. In any case, I'm not afraid of being struck by lightning. The corners of Feng Ming and the other 2's mouths twitched violently. They were convinced there and then. Convinced that junior sister Little Gio's skin was thicker than elephant hide. Chapter 1101. Choosing a demon beast. Yun Chujio and the other 3 finally arrived at the beast taming ground at the last minute. Yun Chujio smiled and nodded at everyone. Everyone is here early. I ate fish for breakfast and it was a little slow, so I came a little late. Sorry for making everyone wait. Everyone's faces stiffened. Are you a fucking cat? Why are you eating fish so early in the morning? Also, you're really big-hearted. Every time you compete, you either oversleep or eat fish because you're afraid of getting bones stuck in your throat. Is it really good for you to disrespect your opponent so much? Yun Chujio slowly walked up to the high platform and bowed to Instructor Qian. Then she said to Wu Heng, "How do we compete? Where are the demon beast?" Wu Heng curled his lips. We're using level 16 barbaric bears in this competition. They're all in the cages at the back. Well, each choose one and then make them fight. Whichever side's bear wins is the victor. Yun Chujio looked in the direction Wu Heng pointed. Indeed, there was a huge cage in the corner of the open space below. There were 8 barbaric bears in it and there was a huge cage next to it. It was covered with a black cloth. She did not know what kind of demon beast was in it. Yun Chujio inexplicably sympathized with those barbaric bears. Being locked in a small cage and being slaughtered by others was really against the nature of those demon beasts. However, Wu Heng clearly did not manage to control the barbaric bears previously, so why did he suggest using them? Could it be that he had done something? Yun Chujio, the beast taming ground below is very dangerous. I advise you to admit defeat right now and kneel to admit your mistake. Otherwise, if something happened to you, it would be too late to regret it," said Wu Heng with eyes full of malice. "Admit defeat? I never knew learned to write those words. I would like to advise you instead. You look quite similar to those violent wild bears. If the violent wild bears hurt you by accident, you will have nowhere to cry," Yun Chujio said with a smile. The onlookers immediately burst into laughter. Damn it, we are willing to just listen to Yun Chujio's scolding. Her words were always so fresh that it was never repeated. Wu Heng was so angry that his face turned red and his neck turned thick with veins. He gritted his teeth and said, "Humph, you sharp-tongued brat. You will suffer in a while. Instructor Qian, open the array. Let's go in and begin our competition." Instructor Qian looked at Yun Chujio with a questioning look in his eyes. Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Instructor Qian, since the time is up, please open the array. I just happen to need some practice with the beast taming technique that I just learned." Instructor Qian and everyone were stunned. Could it be that Yun Chujio had learned the beast taming technique? Chapter 1102, Strong Bear and Old Bear. Instructor Bai asked, "Yun Chujio, are you sure? Once you make your choice you can't change it." "I'm sure. I pick that one. That one looks honest. I like honest ones," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Wu Heng laughed in his heart. Was Yun Chujio stupid? The barbaric bear that she chose was old and weak. It was the weakest of the 8 barbaric bears. He could easily kill it with any one of the rest. Instructor Bai rolled his eyes. Although the old bear did not react, it was old and weak. He reckoned that it would not be able to win against Wu Heng's choice regardless. Therefore he said, "All right, in that case I'll release this bear later." "Wu Heng, which bear do you choose?" Wu Heng had already made his choice. He pointed at the strongest barbaric bear and said, "I'll choose that one." Seeing that the two of them had already made their choice, Instructor Bai asked the two of them to retreat to a safe area. Then he released the 2 barbaric bears. When the people in the stands saw the 2 bears that Yun Chujio and Wu Heng had chosen, they immediately exploded. Was there even a need to compete? The barbaric bear that Wu Heng had chosen was fat and strong, while the bear that Yun Chujio had chosen was old and frail. It looked like the young bear would be able to easily send it flying with a slap. After the 2 barbaric bears were released, the first thing Wu Heng and Yun Chujio had to do was to establish a spiritual connection with them. Wu Heng revealed a complacent smile. He quietly crushed a pill in his hand and walked towards the barbaric bear that he had chosen. The barbaric bear originally grimaced in pain and wanted to attack Wu Heng, but it suddenly turned docile. Wu Heng immediately established a spiritual connection with it and quickly formed a seal with his hands. The beast taming technique was successful. On the other hand, on Yun Chujio's side, after the old bear was released, it lay lazily on the ground with no intention of getting up. Yun Chujio also had a lazy look, standing there like a wooden stake. She hugged her shoulders and watched Wu Heng taming the strong bear as if the competition had nothing to do with her. After Wu Heng successfully tamed the bear, he saw the situation on Yun Chujio's side, and his face revealed a disdainful expression. He thought that Yun Chujio had probably bluffed her way there. How could she have learned the beast taming technique in such a short time? No wonder she chose that old bear. She was probably afraid that if she chose another bear it would attack her. "Yun Chujio, are you ready? Can the 2 bears start fighting?" Wu Heng's face was full of arrogance. He had had the competition in the bag and would not need to use the secret moves that he had prepared. Yun Chujio clapped her hands. "I have finished long ago. I was just waiting for you. Hurry up. Can't you see that my bear is about to fall asleep from waiting?" The onlookers' faces stiffened. "Yun Chujio, you're just lying through your teeth. That old bear had not waited to fall asleep. It has no fighting spirit at all." There was no suspense in the competition. The strong bear did not even need to make a move. He would probably just roar at the old bear a few times and the old bear would be done for. Wu Heng obviously had the same thought. He used his spiritual sense to command the strong bear. Go. Defeat that bear. Since the strong bear had been controlled, it had to listen to Wu Heng's commands. Otherwise, its spiritual sense would be in extreme pain. It fiercely rushed towards the old bear. The old bear lay on the ground motionlessly. It knew that it was already old and weak. It was no match for the strong bear at all. Rather than fighting head-on and getting injured, it might as well just admit defeat. Chapter 1103. Reasoning with a bear. When the strong bear saw that the old bear had not moved, it proudly roared a few times. Wu Heng stood at the back and laughed arrogantly. Yun Chujiu, didn't you say that you have already gained control of that old bear? Why is it still lying there? It seems that you are spouting nonsense. You're going to lose for sure. It's better for you to quickly kneel and admit defeat. Yun Chujiu ignored him. Instead, she looked at the strong bear. With one hand on her waist, she pointed at the strong bear and scolded, "You stupid bear. Have you forgotten what I've taught you?" The strong bear was dumbfounded after being scolded. It thought to itself, could this little girl be mentally challenged? Last time I've taught you that since you want to cultivate the path of longevity, you have to look at all aspects of the human race. Your hygiene is very good now, but why are you acting like a hooligan now? The reason why people are called human is that they have to be virtuous and respect the elderly and love the young. This old bear is your elder. You have no grudges and have lived together for many years. Do you have the heart to humiliate it like this? Don't you think about how you will feel when other bears humiliate you when you are old? Yun Chujiu said bitterly with a look of resentment. The strong bear, old bear, and everyone else were all dumbfounded, trying to reason with the bear. Was Yun Chujiu crazy? That bear was a demon beast. How could it understand such logic? Wu Heng laughed out loud. Yun Chujiu, are you stupid? If these beasts can act like us humans, how can they still be called beasts? Smelly bear, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and attack that useless old bear. When the strong bear heard Wu Heng's words, it roared unhappily, but it still walked towards the old bear. Although Yun Chujiu's words touched it a little, now it was being controlled by someone else. If it did not follow the orders of the person who controlled it, its spiritual sense would be in great pain. In order not to suffer, it had to listen to the fatty. Stop. Are you that cheap? He called you a smelly bear, yet you still listen to him? Where is your pride and moral integrity as a demon beast? To think that you are so big and have no brains at all. If you attack your elders according to his orders today, you will not be able to cultivate the great Tao in your lifetime. This will be the humiliation of your lifetime. Yun Chujiu shouted sternly. The strong bear was stunned by Yun Chujiu's imposing manner and stood motionless. At that moment, it felt that its bear brain could no longer bear it. Although it should listen to the orders of the person who commanded it, why did it feel that what the little girl said made sense? It was too disgraceful to listen to the orders of that damn fatty and attack its elders. Wu Heng's heart sank when he saw that the strong bear had stopped where it was. He used his spiritual sense to test the strong bears. What are you stopping for? Hurry up and attack. The strong bear's spiritual sense was in pain. It no longer cared about Yun Chujiu's words and rushed towards the old bear. Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes and shouted at the old bear, "Old bear, get lost." The old bear instinctively followed Yun Chujiu's instructions and rolled on the ground, dodging the strong bear's attack. Yun Chujiu continued to shout, "Old bear, do you want to regain your former prestige? Do you want to establish your dominance as an elder bear in front of this bear cub? If you do, take the initiative to establish a spiritual connection with me. If you want to live like this for the rest of your life, then give up on yourself." Chapter 1104. A success. At that time, Old Bear was left in a sorry state after being chased around by the strong bear. When he heard Yun Chujiu's words, he impulsively took the initiative to establish a spiritual connection with Yun Chujiu. It was the first time Yun Chujiu used the beast taming technique. She finally succeeded after she stumbled for a while. She laughed arrogantly. "Ha! I succeeded. I finally succeeded." The corners of the audience's eyes twitched violently. She had been able to successfully control the beast entirely through her words. It was estimated that throughout the ages, The only person who had succeeded in doing that was Yunchujio. What a freak. At that moment, the old bear's heart was on the verge of collapse. Had it made an irreparable mistake? Why did it feel that that little girl was very out of tune? Wu Heng never expected that Yunchujio would succeed in her attempt to control the bear. It was truly detestable. However, he sneered and said, Yunchujio, although you succeeded in controlling the bear, can that old and stupid bear of yours beat my strong bear? Accept your defeat. As he finished his taunt, Wu Heng immediately used his spiritual sense to order the strong bear to kill the old bear. Although he only needed to defeat the bear in the competition, Wu Heng ordered the bear to be killed to vent his anger. Since his uncle was taking care of things, he was not afraid of the consequences. Although the strong bear was unwilling, its spiritual sense was being controlled, so it could only obey Wu Heng's order to attack the old bear. Yunchujio secretly used her spiritual sense to tell the old bear, Old bear, you tell that strong bear to take the initiative to establish a spiritual sense connection with me. I will help it cut off Wu Heng's spiritual sense. You two stall for time and run around crazily. Throw around the sand on the ground and howl for me. Although the old bear was old and weak, it was still strong when it was young. Naturally, it did not want to be defeated by the strong bear. Therefore, it relayed Yunchujio's words to the strong bear, and the strong bear agreed because it hated the damn fatty who called it a smelly bear. He was the smelly one. His whole family is smelly. Humans are usually hygienic, but you are not. Therefore, everyone was dumbfounded as they watched the two violent barbaric bears start to run around crazily. The two bears were huge and the sand on the ground was thrown up in their wake. The sand obscured the view and they could only hear the sky-shaking roars of the two barbaric bears. Wu Heng felt that there was no suspense in the outcome of the battle. He said to Yunchujio with disdain, Yunchujio, you are struggling in vain. That old bear of yours is no match for this bear of mine. It will definitely lose in less than 15 minutes. Yunchujio looked at him with a faint smile. Indeed. In less than 15 minutes we will see the result. However, the person who will lose will not be me but you. Wu Heng could not help but laugh out loud. Yunchujio, keep your mouth shut. I'll see how you beg for mercy later. The people in the stands also discussed the situation that unfolded. Although Yunchujio successfully controlled the old bear, it was not a match for the strong bear at all. She will definitely lose. This is all her fault. She should have just chosen a stronger bear. Forget it. That old bear was successfully tricked by her words. Can she even successfully control a stronger one? You're right. Although Yunchujio being able to control a strong bear is impossible, she will still lose. What a pity. Instructor Qian also sighed. That Yunchujio was a good candidate to learn beast taming. However, she would definitely lose this competition. He did not know if the little girl would be able to recover from the setback of the loss. Chapter 1105. Spiritual sense cut off. As time passed, Wu Heng became even more pleased with himself. It was because the information the strong bear had given him was that the old bear was about to die. Suddenly, Wu Heng felt a sharp pain in his spiritual sense. The connection with strong bear's spiritual sense had been severed. Wu Heng immediately fainted from the pain. Yunchujio covered her mouth in shock. Damn, why did you faint? Don't tell me you think that since you're facing defeat, you dare not face reality. Instructor Wu immediately stood up from the stands. What was going on? Why did Heng Er suddenly faint? Could it be that Yunchujio had used some despicable trick? The distance between the two of them was not very close, so even if she wanted to use a secret move, she could not. Instructor Bai saw that Wu Heng had fainted and hurriedly ran over. After feeding Wu Heng a recovery pill, Wu Heng woke up. He covered his head and screamed, My spiritual sense with the bear has been cut off. My spiritual sense was damaged. Instructor Bai and everyone in the stands was stunned. Spiritual sense was cut off? How was this possible? Wu Heng was at the 8th level of the spirit sect, and the barbaric bear was only at the 16th level. It could not possibly cut off Wu Heng's spiritual sense. Then who did it? At that moment, Yunchujio said with disdain, Wu Heng, in order not to kneel and admit your mistake, you pretended to be injured. How shameless. How could your spiritual sense be cut off by someone else? The strong bear's spiritual sense is not as strong as yours. Could it be that it was cut off by Instructor Bai? Or are you trying to frame me for cutting off your spiritual sense? You're talking nonsense. My spiritual sense was clearly cut off by someone. Wu Heng endured the pain of his spiritual sense and roared. Forget it. You either pretended to be injured or you're not good at beast taming in the first place. During the process of controlling it, you went crazy and that's why you injured your spiritual sense. Alright, a few days ago you couldn't control it successfully. Today you succeeded in one go. Could it be that you used some evil trick and that's why you went crazy? It's karma. Yun Chujio clapped her hands and said. After hearing Yun Chujio's words, Wu Heng felt a little guilty. Could it be that he went berserk? When his uncle gave him the bewitching beast powder, he did not mention any side effects. Yun Chujio was very smart. When she saw Wu Heng's expression, she knew that she had guessed correctly by accident. Thus she said with disdain, if you insist that your spiritual sense was cut off by someone, then get Dean Huangfu and some instructors to come over and check it out. Well, start with your body and see if you went berserk. No need. No need to check me. I'm fine. It's just a relapse from an old illness. Much better now. Let's continue the competition. Wu Heng was afraid that he would be exposed, so he forced himself to stand up. It's good that you're fine. But we don't have to compete anymore. Look, that strong bear of yours has already lost. Yun Chujio pointed forward and saw that the strong bear was being slapped by the old bear. The old bear slapped and used its spiritual sense to say to the strong bear, bear with it. The little girl said that as long as you cooperate with me and act well in this show, she won't mistreat us. The strong bear was still in a daze. Damn, that little girl only at the first level of the spirit sect. How did she cut off that damn fatty's spiritual sense? It originally thought that she was just boasting. Wu Heng's head buzzed. He lost. No. He could not lose. He glanced at Instructor Bai, who nodded indiscernibly. Then the 6 barbaric bears that were originally locked in the cage roared and charged toward Yun Chujio. Chapter 1106. Blazing Hurricane Tiger. Although the spectators were all shocked, they were not too worried. The instructors in the Spirit Beast Park were different from the instructors in charge of their classes. Their spiritual power was much lower, and they were all at the level of a spirit saint. Although Instructor Bai was only at the 6th level of the spirit saint realm, it was not a problem for him to deal with 6 barbaric bears. Unexpectedly, several angry roars came from the cage covered with a black cloth. 6 21st level blazing hurricane tigers rushed out from the cage. Oh my god. Level 21 is equivalent to the 3rd level of the Spirit Saint realm. Even Instructor Bai can't deal with so many blazing hurricane tigers. There are 6 barbaric bears as well. I know there are 8. Those 2 might also turn violent. Instructor Qian, open the array quickly. Let's hurry down and save them. Instructor Qian's forehead was covered in sweat. He wanted to open the array formation separating the field from the spectators, but when the barbaric bears rushed out, he realized that the array formation could not be opened. What's going on? Quick. Someone. Quickly turn off the array formation. Saving her is more important. Instructor Wu shouted anxiously, but he sneered in his heart. A little girl dared to fight with him. Even if he killed her today, Instructor Bai would be the one charged with negligence. Deputy Dean Yin would not receive too severe a punishment after it was over. The worst-case scenario would be that he would be fired. When the time came, he would just continue to help the Yin family. The stands were in complete chaos. The beast taming field's array formation was to prevent demon beasts from hurting people, so the level of the array formation was quite high. The fastest way was to turn off the formation disc. However, would Yun Chujio and the others be able to hold on until then? The crowd also discovered one thing, and that was that regardless of whether it was the barbaric bears or the blazing hurricane tiger, they all rushed towards Yun Chujio. They completely ignored Instructor Bai and Wu Heng, who stood on the other side. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. So this was their move. Their methods were so clumsy. Were they prepared to give up on Instructor Bai as a chess piece? If that were true, it was worth it for them to sacrifice her for their revenge. Damn it. It was not that easy to take Yun Chujio's life. As a last resort, she could still use the concealment talisman and sudden rupture talisman given to her by the pretty boy. However, she did not want to reveal her trump card yet. She would try other methods first. If that did not work, she would activate the concealment talisman again. Yun Chujio thought of that and ran towards Instructor Bai and the others. Heavens, the demon beasts have gone crazy. Instructor Bai, save us. Instructor Bai's lips curled into a cold smile. Save us? If it was not for the fact that I was afraid of being too explicit, I would have slapped you to death. There's no way I can save you. Instructor Bai gave Wu Heng a look, and Wu Heng let out a blood-curdling scream as he fell onto Instructor Bai's body. Instructor Bai said anxiously, Yun Chujio, Wu Heng has fainted. I'll bring him to a safe place first. You hold on for a while, someone will save us soon. Instructor Bai wanted to carry Wu Heng away after saying that, but he did not expect Yun Chujio to run after him like a stalker. She even shouted, Instructor Bai, I'm only at the first level of the spirit sect, how can I hold off these demon beasts? I'll carry Senior Wu Heng, you fight off the demon beasts. As an instructor, don't tell me you want to sacrifice your student to save your own life. Instructor Bai was so angry that his teeth were itched. This Yun Chujio was too crafty. Those demon beasts did not care about human affairs. Seeing Yun Chujio hide behind Instructor Bai, they threw a few wind blades at Instructor Bai. Instructor Bai was so angry that he rolled his eyes. You idiots, that little girl is your target. Why are you attacking me? Chapter 1107. Flowed with the blood of nobility. Yun Chujio, who hid behind Instructor Bai, could not help but click her tongue as she watched. Damn, these high-level demon beasts were indeed powerful. Not only were there many wind blades, but they were also extremely fast. Instructor Bai was naturally unwilling to be Yun Chujio's shield. He found an opening and carried Wu Heng, leaped some distance away. Yun Chujio wanted to chase after him, but she was blocked by a few barbaric bears. Yun Chujio was confused. She did not have any physical contact with Wu Heng and Instructor Bai. What did they do? Why did these demonic beasts have to attack her? Old bear, quickly ask, why are your companions coming after me? Yun Chujio asked the old bear with her spiritual sense as she ran. Old bear and strong bear were still in a daze. When they heard Yun Chujio's order, old bear roared a few times. The barbaric bears also roared back angrily. Little girl, they said that Bai controlled them and ordered them to kill you. Fuck, it was indeed Bai's trick. Was he stalling for time or using talismans? Old bear, quickly tell them back off. I won't mistreat them in the future if they do. It was better to focus on one problem at a time and take care of the barbaric bears first. Then she would think of a way to deal with the 6 blazing hurricane tigers. The 6 barbaric bears had a good impression of Yun Chujio. Since there were so many beasts, they could not tell what was going on. It was all they could do to hold back or even help Yun Chujio avoid the 6 hurricane flaming tigers. However, the barbaric bears' levels were much lower than the blazing hurricane tigers, so they could only help her a little. Yun Chujio was eventually forced into a corner by the 6 hurricane flaming tigers. The 6 hurricane flaming tigers drooled as they stared at Yun Chujio greedily. Stop. My lords, there's a saying. When a man is about to die, his words are kind. Can you listen to my last words? Yun Chujio said pitifully. The 6 hurricane flaming tigers felt that Yun Chujio would not escape from them at that point. They were like a cat playing with a mouse, ready to listen to what Yun Chujio had to say. My lords tigers, you are different from other demon beasts. You have noble blood flowing through your bodies. Yun Chujio paused at that point. The 6 hurricane tigers waited for Yun Chujio to continue. Who did not like to hear good things said about themselves? Demon beasts were no exception. Moreover, the word noble really made the beasts feel empowered. Yun Chujio saw that the group of stupid tigers had taken the bait. She was delighted and continued, in the secular world, what is a tiger? It is the king of all beasts. What kind of animal would not be obedient to a tiger? The 6 blazing hurricane tiger nodded their heads. What the little girl said made sense. They had the word king on their foreheads. Yun Chujio continued, also the divine beast white tiger is even more amazing. Who would dare to compete with one of the 4 great divine beasts? Who knows, the few of you might have the bloodline of the divine beast white tiger. When the time is ripe, the hidden bloodline will be activated. Are you still worried about not being able to cultivate the great Tao? As they heard Yun Chujio's words, the 6 blazing hurricane tiger felt that they were about to float from all the praise. Oh my god, the divine beast white tiger, If they had the bloodline of the divine beast White Tiger, they would be the kings among the demon beasts of the Tianyuan continent. When they were daydreaming of what they could become, they were struck by a wave of pain in their divine senses. The person that controlled them gave the order to attack, and the 6 hurricane flaming tigers opened their big bloody mouths and were about to maul Yun Chujio. She quickly waved her hands and said, "Wait. My lords, I still have a few more words to say. It's not too late to eat me after you let me finish." She had confidence in her spiritual sense. She was not even afraid of the weapon spirits of thousands of spirit tools. How could she be afraid of this? The 6 blazing hurricane tigers took the initiative to establish a spiritual sense connection with Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio did not hesitate and immediately cut off all the spiritual sense imprints in their spiritual senses like she was cutting melons and vegetables. She also did the same thing and wiped out all 6 of the barbaric bear's psychic imprints. Instructor Bai fainted on the ground, but Yun Chujio frowned. That's not right. Why did he not react when she cut off the blazing hurricane tiger's spiritual imprints just now? Could it be that only 6 barbaric bears were under his control? Who controlled the blazing hurricane tigers then? Kittens, who was controlling you? Yun Chujio changed her face faster than flipping a book. When she had not established a spiritual connection with the blazing hurricane tigers earlier, she called them Sir Tiger. Now they had become kittens. Although the 6 blazing hurricane tigers wanted to kill her, they were now under her control. They could only respond obediently. "We have never seen the person who controlled us, so don't know who did it." Yun Chujio frowned. There was a range limit when one controlled demon beast. The person who controlled the hurricane flaming tigers was at least an intermediate beast tamer. Moreover, that person must be in the stands. Who could it be? Chapter 1109. Lacked 8 lifetimes of virtue. The first person Yun Chujio suspected was Instructor Wu. Regardless of whether it was his motive or identity, he was the most suspicious candidate. However, she was afraid that she would not be able to catch him in the act. Instructor Wu, who was in the stands, suddenly lost control of the blazing hurricane tigers. Moreover, his spiritual sense had suffered quite a bit of damage. To prevent himself from giving himself away, he gritted his teeth and did not make a sound even though his forehead was filled with beads of sweat. What was going on? How could his spiritual sense be cut off by someone? Who did it? The first person Instructor Wu suspected was Instructor Qian, who anxiously looked down at the field. It must have been Instructor Qian. He had always disliked him, and his Beastmaster level was higher than his. He must have used some secret method to cut off his spiritual sense. Damn it! Instructor Qian, who was horrified and ready to take the blame for what had happened, looked down with a dumbfounded expression. He originally thought that Yun Chujio was doomed. After all, how could she survive being besieged by 6 level 21 blazing hurricane tigers? However, why did those blazing hurricane tigers only surround her and not attack? Also, why did those blazing hurricane tigers and barbaric bears instead turn to attack Instructor Bai and Wu Heng? These demon beasts hated the person who had controlled them to death. Since they could not eat the person who controlled them, it was not a bad idea to eat those 2 accomplices instead. Therefore, they attacked Instructor Bai and Wu Heng without hesitation. Instructor Bai had already woken up. Although his spiritual power was higher than the blazing hurricane tigers, he could not deal with all 6 of them alone. Moreover, there were an additional 8 barbaric bears to contend with. Yun Chujio lay on the ground and looked as if she had fainted from fright. In fact, her eyes were wide open and she watched the show with a smile. Instructor Bai and Wu Heng did not have the time to look at Yun Chujio. The 2 of them were exhausted as they fought for their lives, and their bodies were soon covered in blood. Instructor Wu shouted anxiously in the stands, "Why haven't the people who went to destroy the formation plate reported back? What are they doing?" Instructor Qian could not help but sneer in his heart. "I did not see you being anxious before, but now that your nephew is in danger, you finally show your true colors. This time it must be the uncle and nephew's doing." However, he did not expect that he would be shot in the foot. That little girl Yun Chujio is amazing. When Instructor Bai and Wu Heng were at death's door, the formation was finally opened. Instructor Wu was the first to jump down. Chapter 11:10. Retribution for Evil. Instructor Wu gave Instructor Bai a veiled glance. Instructor Bai gritted his teeth, then said loudly, "That's right. I was the one who controlled the barbaric bears. I was also the one who controlled those blazing hurricane tigers. Last time Yunchujio made me lose face. I just wanted to scare her so that she wouldn't be so arrogant in the future." Everyone was in an uproar. Instructor Bai was too sinister. He actually planned such a vicious scheme just because Yunchujio embarrassed him. Scare her? He probably wanted to take Yunchujio's life. Such a person was simply unworthy of being an instructor of Tianyuan Academy. Instructor Qian frowned. "Instructor Bai, with your cultivation level, I'm afraid you can't possibly control 6 blazing hurricane tigers at the same time, right? Could it be that you're taking the blame for others?" Instructor Bai paused for a moment, then he said, "According to normal methods, I naturally wouldn't be able to control so many demon beasts at the same time. However, I used the bewitching beast powder, and they could only obediently establish a spiritual connection with me. That's why I went berserk and my spiritual sense was damaged." "What? You used the bewitching beast powder? Do you know that the bewitching beast powder will cause great harm to the spiritual senses of the demon beasts? It's likely that they won't be able to advance in rank in the future. Shameless scum." Instructor Chen said angrily. When the barbaric bears and blazing hurricane tigers inside the cage heard Instructor Chen's words, they immediately roared in anger. But they should have bitten that Bai guy to death just now. He actually destroyed their path to immortality. Yunchujio, who stood at the side, blinked her eyes and used her spiritual sense to quietly say to the blazing hurricane tigers, "What are you guys still standing there for? Why aren't you taking the opportunity to bite him to death?" As those demon beasts entered the cage of their own accord, the cage was not locked. Instructor Bai was the closest to the cage. A few blazing hurricane tigers jumped out and pounced on Instructor Bai. Instructor Bai's injuries were already very serious, so he was helpless. He could only shout for help. Although Dean Huangfu and the others saw what happened, they did not want to stop it. Such a person deserved to die. Instructor Wu was even more eager to silence the blazing hurricane tigers and did not help him. Instructor Bai was swallowed by the blazing hurricane tiger right in front of everyone's eyes. After the blazing hurricane tiger ate Instructor Bai, it roared angrily at Wu Heng, who lay at the side. Wu Heng was so scared that his pants were wet. He was afraid that the blazing hurricane tiger would swallow him as well. Fortunately, Instructor Wu stood by his side. Those blazing hurricane tigers were forced back into the cage by Instructor Wu's pressure. Dean Huangfu suddenly said, "Instructor Wu, recently the Spirit Beast Park has been full of mistakes. Not to mention the long-term ones. First, the demon beast eggs attacked Yunchujio, and now the demon beasts have injured people. Moreover, they knew that there was a beast taming competition today, so why did they leave these 6 fierce hurricane tigers here? As the person in charge of the Spirit Beast Park, it's hard for you to escape the blame. You should go on leave for a few months first. Instructor Qian, your beast taming class teaching task isn't too taxing, so for the time being, you will be the person in charge of the Spirit Beast Park." "Yes, Dean." Instructor Qian did not decline because when he saw that the Spirit Beast Park was in a mess, his heart ached, and he made up his mind to restore the Spirit Beast Park to its former glory. Instructor Wu's face was pale and he looked at Deputy Dean Yin obscurely. Deputy Dean Yin coughed and said, "Dean, although Instructor Wu has a responsibility that can't be shirked, isn't this punishment too heavy?" Dean Huangfu looked deeply at Deputy Dean Yin and said, "Deputy Dean Yin, Instructor Wu's spiritual sense has been seriously injured. I'm doing this to let him rest. Do you think it's inappropriate?" When Instructor Wu heard Dean Huangfu's words, his face turned even paler. He knew that Dean Huangfu had already determined that he was the one who controlled the blazing hurricane tigers, but he just did not point it out. Chapter 11:12. An unusual atmosphere. Instructor Qian suddenly remembered something that had been overlooked by everyone. Could it be that Instructor Bai's spiritual sense had really been damaged due to qi deviation? Moreover, according to Dean Huangfu, Instructor Wu was the one who had controlled the 6 blazing hurricane tigers. Then how had his spiritual sense been injured? The spiritual sense of these demon beasts had not been damaged. That could only mean one thing, and that was that Instructor Wu's spiritual sense had been forcefully cut off. Previously, Wu Heng had blurted out that his spiritual sense had been cut off by someone, but later he had denied it. Could it be that the spiritual sense of these three people had not behaved erratically but had been cut off by someone? How could that be possible? During the process of controlling them, there were only two ways to forcefully cut off the spiritual sense of the person controlling them. One was to establish a spiritual connection with the demon beasts and forcibly erase the spiritual sense imprint of the person controlling them from the spiritual sense of the demon beasts. And the other was to kill the person controlling them. Wu Heng and the other two were still alive, so there was only one possibility. However, there was only one person who had the opportunity to establish a spiritual connection with the demon beasts, and that was Yun Chujio. Instructor Qian thought about it for a long time, and an answer was on the tip of his tongue. Yun Chujio had forcefully erased the imprint that Wu Heng and the other two had left in the spiritual senses of the demon beast. Because the process of controlling the demon beast was forcefully stopped, the spiritual sense of the demon beast was not damaged. Because Yun Chujio had established a spiritual connection with the demon beasts, they did not attack Yun Chujio. Instead, they attacked Instructor Bai and Wu Heng. However, how could Yun Chujio's spiritual sense be so powerful? Instructor Wu was at the second layer of the spiritual venerable realm. To verify his thoughts, Instructor Qian established a spiritual connection with one of the blazing hurricane tigers and asked, was the spiritual sense mark of the controlling person forcefully erased by Yun Chujio? The blazing hurricane tiger was happy that its spiritual imprint was not damaged. It said honestly, yes, it was done by that little girl. She even said that we might have the bloodline of the white tiger. The demon beasts acted based on their instincts. They felt that Instructor Qian had no ill intentions towards them and was eager to show that they might be the descendants of the divine beasts. Therefore, the blazing hurricane tiger told Instructor Qian everything. Instructor Qian's face was stiff after listening to the hurricane flaming tiger's words. He was initially puzzled at how she successfully established spiritual connections with so many demon beasts when her power level was so low. It turned out that it was all a bluff. What a freak. However, how could a little girl at the first level of the spirit sect have such a strong spiritual sense? Instructor Qian shook his head. It was not a bad thing to have a strong spiritual sense. That little girl might be able to master powerful beast taming techniques in the future because she had one more advantage than them, which was that she had a silver tongue. She had fooled more than 10 demon beasts. After the incident, Deputy Dean Yin regarded Yun Chujio even more as a thorn in his side. However, he had not found an opportunity to get his revenge, so he could only temporarily hold back his troops. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. One afternoon, Yun Chujio had just finished class and was about to go to the cafeteria to eat when she found that there was an unusual atmosphere in the Tianyuan Academy. Fuck, there are so many pink-faced and shy people. What was going on? Almost everyone on the road headed towards Tianyuan Square. The female students in particular were all dressed up beautifully. Their faces were flushed with excitement as they jogged forward. Finally, he signaled to Di Baiming and Xue Wuji that they could start imparting their experiences. Di Baiming took a step back slightly and signaled for Xue Wuji to start first. To gain a sense of presence in front of Yun Chujio, Xue Wuji recited the speech he had prepared earlier. His eloquence immediately caused the fangirls below to exclaim in surprise. Yun Chujio was secretly delighted. She did not expect Wuji to not be boasting. His popularity in the Tianyuan continent was not inferior to that of the pretty boy. As expected, no matter when or where he was, he would always be popular. After Xue Wuji finished, it was Di Baiming's turn to speak. Compared to Xue Wuji's flowery words, Di Baiming's speech was straight to the point. Even Yun Chujio felt that he had learned a lot. She did not expect that the pretty boy was so capable. No wonder his subordinates were trained so well. Di Baiming's speech did not receive many exclamations. However, in the end he won even more applause and sincere thanks from the people. Xue Wuji pursed his lips. That idiot. He was just going through the motions, but that facial paralysis guy took it seriously and prepared so much. He had completely forgotten that he had almost driven the people of the Demon Blood sect crazy for this speech. He had revised the speech 70 to 80 times and almost made them vomit blood from the repeated changes. Chapter 11:14. Candidates to accompany them after the end of Di Biming's speech. Dean Huangfu announced a shocking piece of news. It's not easy for His Excellency and young Master Wuji to find the time to return to the academy, so they decided to temporarily stay here for 3 days. During this period, the academy will arrange for a few student representatives to accompany the two of them during their visit. When everyone heard Dean Huangfu's words, they instantly exploded. Especially the female students who felt their little hearts were about to jump out of their chests. What? His Excellency and young Master Wuji were going to stay in the academy for 3 days? Would that not mean that they would be able to see them many times? Would that also not mean that they would have the opportunity to get closer to the two of them? The feeling was especially true for the three beauties. They felt as if they just had a windfall. The academy's representative would definitely choose them. Forget about young Master Wuji, His Excellency had always been difficult to get close to. It was a great opportunity that they had to seize. The three of them even began to look forward to what kind of clothes they would wear every day, what kind of makeup they would wear, and where they would bring Di Biming to visit. Silence, I can understand your feelings, but the quota is limited. For the sake of fairness, we can only draw lots to decide which students will accompany us, Dean Huangfu said in a deep voice. Draw lots? Everyone was stunned. They had originally thought that they would choose students with excellent results, but since it was a lucky draw, would that not mean that everyone had a chance? That was great. Dean Huangfu took out a crystal clear ball and everyone's student numbers began to flash on the screen. Dean Huangfu smiled and said, Your Excellency, young Master Wuji, each of you can choose a student. I will choose the last one. Di Biming and Shui Wuji nodded slightly at Dean Huangfu. Although the two of them had such highly renowned statuses, they still respected Dean Huangfu very much. Di Biming placed his hand on the ball and a student ID appeared on the big screen. It was Lin Han from the 4th grade Xian class. A male student shouted excitedly, It's me. It's me. His Excellency chose me. I'm so lucky. Everyone looked at Lin Han with envy. Although the male student would not have any improper thoughts towards His Excellency and young Master Wuji, if he could gain their recognition, it would be of great help to his future and even his family, so it was understood why he was so excited. Many female students wished they could change their name to Lin Han, and their faces were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred towards Lin Han. Lin Han was completely unaware of the scorn and had a silly smile on his face. He did not expect to find himself in the bottom position in the Tianyuan Academy for the past 4 years, then have such good luck suddenly appear. It simply made him so happy that they wanted to go crazy. With Lin Han as a precedent, hope rose in everyone's hearts knowing that just anyone could be selected. They did not know who young Master Wuji and the principal would choose. Shui Wuji gave everyone a devilish smile and immediately caused a group of women to cry out in shock. Then he placed his hand on the ball and a name appeared on the display screen. 3rd grade Xian class, Nangong Luiyue. Almost at the same time, a female student blissfully fainted. Needless to say, that female student was Nangong Luiyue. The other female students in the square were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. They wished they could replace her, especially the three beauties. Her eyes were like knives as she looked at Nangong Luiyue, who had already woken up. Nangong Luiyue was so happy that she did not know what to say. Her looks were average, her family background was average, and her spiritual power was also average. She did not expect to have such a chance to interact with her Prince Charming. Felt like a dream. Everyone could only place their hopes on Dean Huangfu, hoping that good luck would befall them. Furthermore, the Yin family was considered to be reputable. She did not expect him to be so shameless. Yin Sulian was stunned for a moment. Then she covered her face and ran away as she cried. Shui Wuji acted as if nothing had happened. He continued to try to recall the idea he had just now. He could not remember no matter what he did. He secretly grew angry his heart, therefore he asked Lin Han stood beside him, "What was the name of the shameless person I was talking to just now?" Lin Han's face was full of confusion, but he did not dare not answer. Thus he said, "That was the second miss of the Yin family, Yin Sulian." The Yin family? No wonder. The elder sister shamelessly clung to Di Biming, and that younger sister shamelessly called him elder brother. The upbringing of the Yin family is an eye-opener. Xue Wuji thought of little Jiu in his heart. His words not only made little sister Jiu hate Di Biming for messing around with other girls, but it also showed that he was completely devoted to her. It was too perfect. Yin Xinlian was not far behind them. When Yin Sulian was reprimanded by Xue Wuji earlier, she felt ashamed. She did not expect Xue Wuji to say something even worse. It was worse than killing her. Could it be that the Yin family had offended Xue Wuji in some way recently? Otherwise, why would he target the Yin family so viciously today? It was truly outrageous. How would he know that all of this was just because Yin Sulian interrupted Xue Wuji's train of thought? He was just so willful. Di Biming and his group continued to walk towards the guest house. Yun Chujio originally thought that after Xue Wuji's mischief, the female students behind them would scatter like birds and beasts. However, what she never expected was that when the female students saw Xue Wuji's venomous tongue, they became even more infatuated. Young Master Wuji is too handsome. I like his devilish temperament. Yeah, young Master Wuji is so charming no matter what he does. He's handsome beyond the new horizon. Young Master Wuji's appearance just now almost made me faint. The corner of Yun Chujio's eyes twitched violently. It seemed that each cabbage and radish had their own preferences. There were actually so many people who liked such that crazy black chicken head. Yun Chujio glanced at him from the corner of her eyes. That Yin Xinlian's constitution was really off the charts. Even though the girl and fourth grandfather had been angered away, she still shamelessly followed them. Could it be that she still wanted to have a few words with her pretty boy? Chapter 11:17. Di Biming, whose battle prowess was even more astonishing. Just as Yun Chujio thought of that, the three beauties began to make their move. Qin Mingzhu took a few steps towards Di Biming and said, "Your Holiness, I heard that when you were studying at the Tianyuan Academy, you liked to read books in the library by yourself. Why don't I accompany you to the library when you have time?" Di Biming did not even look at her and said coldly, "Since you know that I like someone, why are you still following me?" Qin Mingzhu did not say another word. Her face flushed red and she retreated. Yin Xinlian gritted her teeth and took a few steps forward. Before she could say anything, Di Biming said, "I have said that the smell on your body is really bad. Don't come close to me." Yin Xinlian almost cried. Di Biming had said that the fragrance on her body was choking, so this time she did not use any fragrance at all. She did not expect to be so despised by Di Biming. She was even more embarrassed than Qin Mingzhu. When Qin Mingzhu saw that Yin Xinlian was so embarrassed, she felt much better. It seemed that His Excellency still showed mercy to her. It was obvious that he was even more disgusted with Yin Xinlian. No matter how deep Yin Xinlian's thoughts were, she could not bear being so embarrassed in front of so many people. She covered her face and ran away as she cried. The three members of the Yin family were all so angry that they left dejectedly. Bailey Yen saw that Qin Mingzhu and Yin Xinlian had returned in defeat. She thought about it and did not go forward. Apparently, His Excellency did not seem to be in a good mood today, so she should not tempt his wrath. Although Di Biming and Xue Wuji's skills at rejection were unparalleled, many still students followed them. They felt that even though they could not speak to the exalted young Master Wuji, it was still good for them to be able to take a few glances from afar. After being escorted all the way, they finally arrived at the guest house. By then only Dean Huangfu and the three student representatives accompanied Xue Wuji and Di Biming inside. Once the isolation array was activated, the fangirls could only sigh in admiration. Their hearts were filled with envy and jealousy towards the three student representatives. However, they still chose to stay for a while before leaving in embarrassment. The guest house was decorated very elegantly. It had a 2-hall courtyard, a study room, 2 bedrooms and a living room. The few of them came to the living room and sat down. Nangong Luoyue and Lin Han were so nervous that they did not know where to put their hands and feet. Shui Wuji smiled and said, Junior Lin, Junior Nangong, Junior Yin, there's no need to be so formal. Lin Han and Nangong Luoyue were overwhelmed by his casual attitude. They could still clearly picture Shui Wuji's fierce look when he attacked Yin Sulian and Deputy Dean Yin. They did not expect him to be so amiable now. It was too surprising. The two of them stole a glance at Di Baiming. Although he did not speak, his expression did not look as cold as before. Lin Han and Nangong Luoyue felt that their luck was simply out of this world. They actually received such preferential treatment. They sat there excitedly. Yun Chujio found it funny in her heart. She did not know if these two unlucky fellows were really randomly chosen, but they seemed to be quite earnest in their enthusiasm. The few of them casually chatted for a while. They mostly answered questions from Shui Wuji. Lin Han and Nangong Luoyue were flattered, while Yun Chujio, on the other hand, munched on the pastries that had already been placed on the table. When Lin Han and Nangong Luoyue saw Yun Chujio's behavior, they thought to themselves that Yun Chujio was just as the rumors said. She was greedy, but she did not have any shrewdness in her. If an ordinary female student was chosen, then wouldn't she try her best to curry favor with His Excellency and young Master Wuji? If Yun Chujio knew what the two of them thought of, she would probably burst into laughter. Although the pretty boy and the black chicken had good looks, after seeing them so many times, they would not be as attractive as the pastries on the table. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.